Are you ready? Okay, can everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Monroe meeting of October 20th. I just want to explain a few parameters for this evening's meeting. Humanity, respect, and I would hope that everyone would be considerate of others. In tonight's meeting, I intend to be just that. If you intend to speak this evening, it should be done with dignity and respect. There'll be no shouting from the audience, no noises from the audience. Please refrain from doing so. While we all may have differences of opinion, any opinion you exemplify should be used and exemplified with proper decorum. If you cannot, you may be asked to leave. Last meeting, we had someone that used a slang term that they claimed I had said towards a person of Hispanic and Latino heritage. That's wrong. I would never do that. I did not say that. And it's sad that I have to sit here and defend myself from a lie like that. Since October 6th, I've prayed every day that tonight's meeting be one that excludes the shaming of others with innuendos and false statements. Tonight, please, I think all of us up here expect kindness and peaceful discussion during this meeting. Everyone here at this meeting is free to offer their thoughts and insights to assist our board in making a decision as we consider options. Thank you. Can I get a motion to open this evening's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. First up, we have a wonderful young man, Siddhi Raghunathan, who is coming up to speak and discuss his Eagle Scout project and the fact that he did make Eagle Scout. Come on up, Siddhi.
Hi, hope you are all well. My name is Siddharth Raghunathan, and I recently did a project at our town's local baseball park, Mombasa Park, where I designed and installed a sign for the baseball park where I refurbished the garden plank as well as installed the sign for future town signage throughout the town of Monroe. I did end up completing it and getting the rank of Eagle. Thank you so much to Mr. Cardone and everyone on the board for helping me out. Thank you to my leaders, Mr. Thao, Mr. Carney, and Mr. Rogers and Mr. Wernley for helping me out as well as thank you to Parks Director, Ms. Morris, and my family as well.
Thank you, Siddhi.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead. Anything else?
No, nothing.
Okay. So Siddhi's project was to create a sign for Mombasa Park, which we were hoping would be a prototype for other signs throughout the town of Monroe at our different properties. It is just that. It is a prototype. On Wednesday of this past week, we actually installed one at O&R Park where our food truck festival was, and we received multiple compliments this weekend for those that saw it. Actually, when you entered the food truck festival, you entered behind the sign, so you might not have seen it because of the logistics of that day, but I'm very happy the way it turned out, and we're very proud of you, Siddhi. I would like this board to honor you at another meeting where we could do so properly, but I know you had said you wanted to come tonight to speak and explain that you did earn your rank of Eagle Scout last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yes, last week.
Last week. So congratulations to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Councilman Scancarello to recap the Food Truck Festival.
Yes, absolutely. Great day, great October weather. The park looked beautiful, thanks to our highway department. Bill Brown, great job as always. Dory, Steve, Tony, and Yvette, thank you for being there and helping all day. I appreciate it. And we don't get this done without Anne Marie Morris, who's the backbone of this Food Truck Festival. Even though she's having twins, I believe, her daughter's having twins any day. She was there till she couldn't stay anymore. And thanks to the Sheriff's Department for being there as well. All around, great day, great community day. That's it, thank you. Oh, Monroe PD too, correct, yeah.
And SP.
SP was there.
They were all there. So thank you. Thank you. It was another great day. Okay. Councilwoman Hull, would you go over the early voting?
Yes, so this Saturday starts early voting. You can come here to vote from October 25th through November 2nd. Do you have a copy of those times there, Val? Yes, okay. So Saturday, it's 9 to 5, Sunday, 9 to 5, Monday and Tuesday will be noon to 8 p.m., Wednesday and Thursday will be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Friday on Halloween will be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, November 1st and 2nd, will be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Those will be the hours for all of the early voting sites throughout the county. The town of Monroe is one of them. Other locations would be in Middletown at the Middletown Senior Center, in Newburgh, in the city of Newburgh at the Newburgh Activity Center on Washington Street, in the city of Port Jervis at the Howard Wheat Engine Company on 34 Owen Street. Town of Goshen is the Caroline Building. Town of Montgomery is the Village of Montgomery Senior Center. Town of New Windsor is the New Windsor Community Center, and the town of Warwick is at the Warwick Senior Center. There is no voting on Monday, November 3rd, and Election Day is November 4th.
Okay. Item 3.4 is our trunk or treat, which is scheduled to be held next Monday, October 27th at O&R Park. Councilman Scancarello?
Yes, it's October 27th, like you mentioned, 6 to 8 p.m. at O&R Park. There will be commuter service from the buses as well that day. The deadline to sign up is October 22nd, and I believe we currently have around 20 trunks, correct? 16. And there'll be a couple of food trucks there as well, 6 to 8 p.m. at O&R Park, and that's on Monday the 27th.
Last year we had over 600 children that participated, so it was a great event.
A lot of candy.
A lot of candy we gave out, yeah. Yep. Okay, item 3.5 is the Smith's Clove Park Fall Festival. That's going to be held next Saturday, November 1st, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Smith's Clove Park at 133 Spring Street. There's a lot of activities planned. There's a flyer that's on our website, and that has been sent out through Constant Contact. So if you get a chance, stop down there. They do a great job at Smith Clove Park. The Park Commission is wonderful. They're all volunteers. Kristen, the director, is phenomenal, and the maintenance staff, led by Kenny, is just superb. They always polish the fields extremely well. Next up is the fall compost schedule. So Saturday, October 25th through Saturday, November 8th, Saturday, October 25th, Saturday, November 1st, Saturday, November 8th, and Saturday, November 15th. It's going to be at Lakes Road from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Guidelines: you need a driver's license, ID is required, brush must be under 4 feet in length and no larger than 5 inches in diameter. No logs or wood will be accepted, and there's no commercial or business waste permitted. Please note that the compost facility will be closing after these dates and will reopen in the spring. For any questions, you could call the Town of Monroe Highway Department at 782-8583.
We have our next electronic and textile recycling and shredding and tire recycling day, and that will be on Saturday, November 1st, from 9 a.m. to noon at the Highway Garage, which is right here on Mine Road. The event is open to the Town of Monroe, Village of Monroe, and Village of Harriman residents only. You must show ID in order to use the services. We cannot allow for any business shredding, but there is paper shredding up to 4 boxes per resident. Tire recycling, tires with rims will not be accepted. You can bring electronics like cell phones, computers, DVD players, terminals, keyboards, monitors, printers, scanners, speakers, stereos. Does anybody still have a stereo?
I have one.
Oh, you shouldn't recycle that. You should hold on to that.
Sal's got an 8-track player.
VCRs, typewriters. Oh, man, we could have an Antiques Roadshow there. The hard drives on any laptops will be destroyed. And then the textiles recycling for rewear, reuse, and recycling. Any items in any condition for all ages and genders, as long as they're clean, dry, and odorless. And everything should be in a closed plastic bag. If you have any question, you can give Val a call at the town clerk's office at 783-1900, extension 203.
Last on the community announcements is Teenager Trends, which is hosted by the Monroe-Woodbury Community Coalition. It's organized by Liam Gaffney, who's a Monroe-Woodbury student, and it's going to be held. Graduated last year, right. Liam graduated last year. Wonderful young man. It's going to be held November 20th. Time is to be determined. It's going to be in the evening, though, possibly starting around 6 o'clock. And it's going to include discussion on current teenage trends and how parents can support their children along with Narcan training. Okay. Next up is the public hearing on the Town of Monroe preliminary budget. I'll make a motion to open that public hearing.
Second.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay.
The residents who have signed up to speak, I'll call the first resident.
Well, we're going to do the budget presentation first, and then
Okay.
they can speak after. Okay, so this is the 2026 preliminary budget overview. And the preliminary budget at a glance, the total preliminary budget is currently $19,705,392.75. What that translates to right now is a town tax rate, that's only in the unincorporated town of Monroe, of $12.2444 per $1,000 assessed value. That's a minus 4.5817 year-over-year decrease. In the village, the tax rate has gone up 0.21%. So your total town tax rate increase since 2019, and I use that year because that was the first year that myself, as a supervisor, had control over the budget. I was elected in 18, so 2019 was the first year that we had, that I had control of the budget. Next slide. So I know this is a little small, so I want to address the fact that at the last meeting when I submitted the summary sheet, the summary sheet was incorrect. The third column from the end, which is the column to the left of the red outline, what happened was when I moved the cells over, I did not save them. So it translated into incorrect numbers, and those numbers were actually higher with respect to the percentage increases. None of the numbers in the budget were changed. This summary sheet is an analysis of the budget. And because I didn't save that, it showed incorrect numbers, and I apologize for that. You have in the yellow there, you have 4 funds that we address in the budget. We have a general fund, which is the A fund, that's town-wide. That includes both villages and the town. You have the general fund, which is the part town, the B fund, that just includes the unincorporated town of Monroe, which is everything outside of the 2 villages. You then have the DA fund, which is the highway fund town-wide, both villages and the town. And then you have the highway fund, the part town, which is the DB fund, which just includes the town of Monroe. You'll notice that in the red area, the change over 2025 is, like I said, stated before, 0.211% increase in the village and a minus 4.5817 in the town. I will tell you this, that number will change. It will go up. I would hope that it only goes up slightly because the only salaries that were included in this preliminary budget were any contractual salaries associated with the highway department. Right now, we don't have a contract for 2026 dial-a-ride, but we do have a contract for our highway workers. Okay. This is zoomed in a little bit. So for those of you that get your tax bill, your assessed value is your taxable value on your tax bill. So for a home that is assessed at $50,000, your increase from 25 to 26, if the budget stayed exactly like it is in the village is 85 cents. In the town, it's minus $29.40. For a $75,000 assessed value home, your increase in the village would be $1.28, and your increase in the town would be, your decrease in the town would be $44.10, comparable to 2025. And if you had a $100,000 assessed value home, your increase would be $1.70, and your reduction in the town would, that was in the village, and your reduction in the town would be $58.79. I will say that obviously these numbers exist because of what's currently in the budget, and for a home that is in the village, 81% of the homes in the village, as per our assessor, are assessed at less than $100,000. That's the assessed value. In the town, 71% of the homes that are assessed in the village are less, in the town, 71% of homes are assessed at $100,000 or less. And if you don't believe that, because I had someone say that to me last year, stop in our assessor's office. She could run the report for you pretty quickly. Okay. Next up, what does a tax rate translate to on a town resident's tax bill? I've received so many questions regarding tax bills, and my taxes have gone up thousands of dollars. That's not true when you look at what the town of Monroe controls. We control 4 lines. We control the town tax, we control the highway tax, and we control the part town tax, along with the Monroe town lighting. Those are items we have complete control over. The other items that are on your list are the fire district, which is controlled by the fire commission. You have the library, which is essentially controlled by the voters in the town. You vote on that every year. You have the Monroe refuse. Now, I will say that we do have a contract for that, but we don't completely control that because usually in the middle to the end of November, there's an increase in tipping fees. So that cost is always adjusted for the last 5 years, I believe, there's always been an increase, and that's done through the county's tipping fees. You have county bonds and laterals, and the tax bill up there is my tax bill. That's my tax bill from 24 and 25. So the difference from 24 to 25 was a difference of a 10.73% increase, was $125.28. That represents $10 a month. And I do believe that we have enhanced our services for that small increase. Next slide. Next up is Councilwoman Hoole's tax bill. This is a village resident. So as a village resident,
These are real bills.
these are real bills.
I'm on here too. Okay.
So her increase was $52.70, which is about $4.50 from 24 to 25. And in the village, you only have one line. You have a line that just states town. For everyone that has complained on social media about the tax bill, these are the facts. There's no lying here. It comes directly from the county tax records. Okay, next up, Councilwoman Bingham. So Councilwoman Bingham from 24 to 25 has a difference of $47.23. She's got 4 line items there, and then she does have at the bottom, she's got a sewer district, which is the Moodna District, which she's the chairman of, and I'm not saying that because there's anything fugazi going on there. She does a wonderful job there, and this was her first year as chairperson. You have the water bond from Water District 12 from all the improvements, and then you have the Monroe Water, which is operating and maintenance. Now, the town does have input into those, but those final numbers are generated from the operating and maintenance costs for that year and the amount of water usage. If there's more water used, that tax bill line is going to be increased. Okay. And finally, Councilman Scancarello's. Councilman Scancarello has a difference of from 24 to 25 of $121.82, which also amounts to about $10 per month, just over it. And then Councilwoman Richardson's, so she has a difference from 24 through 25 of $34.05, which you also have to take into consideration that her taxable value from 24 went from 76.5 down to 72. So taking that into consideration, I would think her difference would have been about $38 or $39, which is just about $3 a month from that increase. You know, you heard the increase was, everybody was rounding it up to 11%. The last thing we want to do up here is raise your taxes. But when you have a year like we had last year, when you had an adjustment, when we had years of minuses in 19 and 20, when we went through COVID with unfunded mandates, that all factors into it. So simply to sum it up, a lot of you have seen these increases. We know that, and that's not what our goal is. Our goal is to control taxes. But I will tell you that this increase is minimal compared to the school, county, and the state taxes. And I think this board has done a fine job over the last 7 years. Next slide. This is a glimpse of the fund balance history and what's actually behind the numbers. In 2019, we were at 2.2 million and change. In 2020, we went up to 7.3 million. In 2021, we remained stable. We had some unfunded mandates that came into play, and we were at 7.25 roughly in 21. And then in 22, we were at 10.1 million. Now, you're looking at this bar graph, and you're probably saying to yourself, Jesus, what the heck happened in 23 and 24? Well, we purchased the Rye Hill Corridor. And when we purchased the Rye Hill Corridor, we had bands, which is a bond anticipation note. That bond anticipation note is due at the end of the year. So I will let Roberta explain why that is.
A ban, which is a bond anticipation note, is a short-term liability. So the total amount is due in the year that it happened. So the total amount of that purchase hit the bottom line for the town in '23 when we made the purchase, and the ban was refinanced in '24, and in '25 it was converted to a bond. When it becomes a bond, it's now a long-term liability. So it's like when you get a mortgage for
Thank
your
you.
house and you pay for it over 20 or 30 years. So that's why the fund balance will go back up in '25 when that ban was converted to a bond.
Right, so we converted that ban to a bond, and remember, this is through 10/15 of 2025, the current fund balance is 16.8 million. That's going to drop. I'm going to estimate it's going to drop by approximately $3.5 to $4 million. We're not in fiscal stress. It's been proven by the state. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that we're fiscally stable. We've had 3 professional opinions. The first one is S&P, which has awarded us a AA rating. You don't receive that unless your audits, tax returns are done properly. They gave us a favorable financial standing, and they said that our financial future is stable. The New York State Controller, they gave the town a 0 stress score, which is the best score possible by New York State. And no designation in the fiscal stress monitoring system from New York State for the town of Monroe. P.K. O'Connor Davis, which is our auditor, in 2025, they provided an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, and I'll have Roberta give you a definition of that, regarding the town of Monroe's most recent audit. PKF advised that this is the highest level of assurance any auditor can give you. I repeat, the town of Monroe is not in financial stress, is fiscally stable, and that has been validated by 3 independent opinions. And this should not surprise everyone, because back in June, we had our bonding company, Munistat, come up and state basically exactly the same. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Explain the unmodified opinion definition.
Okay, the definition, unmodified opinion, is that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. This is the most favorable outcome, and it provides assurance that the financial information is reliable and free from material misstatement.
Thank you. Okay, next up is our fund balance. And we've had multiple speakers come up and talk about us using fund balance, and you depleted your fund balance by $1 million or $1.5 million this year or that year. So Sometimes the fact that, and I don't hold this against anybody, but sometimes if you don't understand fund accounting, this could be the misconception of why you believe that. So in fund accounting, you have to balance the budget. You have to balance your revenues and your expenses. So what we do is we add fund balance in. And fund balance isn't a bad thing. Fund balance is a great thing because it protects the public from major tax increases. And that's what we've always tried to do. So if you look at the history from 20 to 24, we have appropriated in the budget $2.62 million in fund balance. And we've only used $803,278. So that's approximately, I'd say, 23%. I didn't do the numbers, but it's approximately 23% of what was appropriated versus what we used. What we didn't use remained in the fund balance. And a lot of those years, we had surpluses, so we also added to that fund balance. Last year, we had a big infusion in cash from two projects, from Bald Hill and from Forest Chateau. Forest Chateau is a project that was done without the town of Monroe knowing. Mr. Nugent and myself, along with a little assistance from Dory, negotiated a payment from that builder, because they were in KJ, of $450,000. That was found money. That was money that we got that year. We're not getting it this year. And in fairness, the expenses associated with that, which are 90% related to engineering, are going to be about $50,000 or $60,000. So the town benefited from that project, even though they tried to run it through Kairos Joel. So I will say again, we are fiscally strong, stable. Next slide, please. So this is this year's numbers through October 15th. So this is where our revenue is generated from. You have a lot of different parts of this where we generate revenue. 62% of it comes from property tax, and you can see the numbers all around. The lines that do not have numbers, if you combine them all, they represent 1% of revenue that we receive. And one has to remember that when we're doing a budget for 26, we have to all understand that we have to know where we came from, and we have to know what's going on in the current year in 2025. And is it a little bit of an estimation game? Yes, it is. And we try to base everything we do on numbers from the state, the county, and what we currently have. I will say that dial-a-ride, the building department, mortgage, sales tax, and franchise taxes are a big part. And interest. We started investing in NICLAS, which is an approved municipal investment firm up out of Albany. Roberta, can you give me the totals, the total of interest we've earned year to date?
For this year, the total interest earned as of September 30th is $628,000.
That's just an interest.
Just this year.
Through
September.
Through September. Prior to 2019, we were lucky if we made $20,000 because there was not any shifting of money and reinvesting it in we're not investing in funds, we're investing in interest-bearing accounts, and with a lot of liquidity, and we could remove the money, I believe, in 72 hours is when we get it. So that's where our revenue is generated from. And then we go to where we spend. Now, I apologize. I'm going to read off those values. I think what happened was when the Excel spreadsheet that generated these numbers was made, the column wasn't wide enough because these numbers are in the millions. So the numbers you see up there, the $805,000 is principal. The $814,000 is interest. The employee benefits, which is the piece of the pie below the $805,000. So employee benefits represent $1.467 million. Below that is home and community service. And home and community service represent clean sweep, recycling, refuse, and water and sewer. And that is $3.515 million. The orange piece of pie to the right is $2.41 million, and that represents transportation, which is dial-a-ride and our highway. And then the other large number, which is $1.8 million, represents general government support, which is our offices and our different departments. Am I missing something in that? Talking to the mic.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
It's the offices in this building, and the maintenance department, the justice court, that's all included in that one.
Thank you. All right. Next slide. Okay. These are the factors from the Monroe Theater. So the theater was purchased in 15, and 2015, 16, 17, along with a portion of 18, which is when I came in as supervisor, that I inherited that. And those 4 years represented a cost to the taxpayers of $1.122 million. I'm going to say that again. $1.122 million is what the taxpayers paid for that theater. Councilman McGinn came in, Mary Bingham came in, and what we did was we ended up negotiating a deal, and Councilman Scancarello was here too, I believe, negotiating a deal with Flagship Cinemas. And you can see moving forward from 19 through 25, the 7-year average that the theater cost us was just under $16,000. So that means if we would have kept going at the previous 4-year level, we wouldn't have saved $1.851 million, which is what we did by not running the theater. Now, the theater, since COVID, is in a financial struggle. I know that. There's a payment that is normally due us. They haven't been able to make that. I was speaking with them about a week and a half ago because we have to make some roof repairs, and they're going to try to work out to get us some sort of payment. But in the interim, they've provided us with veterans movies, they've provided us with senior movies, and they've provided our yak program at Smith Clove Park with movies at no cost. I don't know what that number is. Maybe in total over the last couple of years, it's been $20,000 to $22,000. I'm spitballing a number there. You got to remember, this building doesn't lend itself to many uses. there would be major renovations needed if we changed it to from a theater to some sort of office building. And I think what we did in 2018 into 19 was stop the hemorrhaging of money. Next up. So some of the key cost increases associated going into this year. You got wages, which we think are going to be between 3% and 4%. You have supply chain issues and overall inflation, which represents 12.16%. You have highway parts, as an example, and materials. They represent a large portion of the highway budget. I met with them last Wednesday or Thursday. There was one axle they were trying to get in, and I don't remember. I think the axle cost was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $9,000 or $10,000, and in the past that item was maybe $4,000 to $4,500. Aside from the fact they're spending a lot of time and effort in trying to find parts for some of our older trucks, and in addition, some of our newer trucks, because they're computer-based, have had some issues with their computer, and they've been in the shop too. And this is no fault to anybody but the production of these vehicles. They're doing the best they can there, and it's taken them sometimes, at minimum, maybe 2 weeks, at maximum 2 to 2.5 months to get a part. Health insurance premiums are another issue, 9 to 12%. They're going up. It's what life is today. And then we have a lot of unfunded mandates. We have, an example is the MS4, which is the stormwater and sewer drainage. It's going to cost us about $30,000 to $40,000 this year to implement the new standards that come down from the state. They don't fund us for it. We have to do engineering, and we also have to have our highway department go through all those catch basins, log them, clean them out every year, and so on. Next slide, please. Okay, so for 6 or 7 years, we've been proactively seeking grants and funding opportunities to offset our costs. We've secured over $4.1 million over that term. We have got CREST grant funding, which is the Community Resiliency, Economic Sustainability, and Technology Grant. A few weeks ago, less than a few weeks ago, we received an $80,000 grant from Assemblyman Brabenec to purchase the new trailer leaf loader for the Highway Department. That is something that was, I believe, over 20 years old. The one there, they're still working with it now. But I know last year they had to repair the main fan, and they actually built some parts because they couldn't get what they needed. We also got 2 grants from Senator Skoufis's office, a $70,000 grant, which was used toward the purchase of generators at the Senior Center and hopefully the new Highway Department building. And then we received a $75,000 commitment from Senator Skoufis's office to be used toward the purchase of a generator for the Water District 1 pump house renovation. CDBG, less than 2 weeks ago, we were awarded $84,000 for the connectivity of Monbassia Park between the baseball field and the soccer field, and that will be construction of a pathway sidewalk, and there's obviously some engineering associated with that. And then we've recently applied for a WIA grant, which is a Water Infrastructure Improvement and Intermunicipal Grant, which is funding for Water District 1 and Water District 14. Some recent park improvements for our residents. We recently installed lights at Monbassia Park Pickleball Court, and we did that after we installed the pickleball court last year. That was a great project. If you go up there on a Saturday, on a Sunday, at night after 4 o'clock, it's mobbed. And the lights have been a blessing for a lot of people. Some of us seniors like to go to bed before the lights go on, but there are a number of people that use it. The new renovations on the Monbassia Park baseball field to accommodate a 50-foot and 70-foot base path, that was just completed last Friday. And both of these improvements were paid for by parkland fees, and those parkland fees are paid to the town by developers. And finally, moving forward, our priorities remain the same. Transparent government, fiscal responsibility, accountability, best practices for the benefits of the taxpayer, and the safety and well-being of our community and the residents through the possible securing of an IMA for police services in 2026. Thank you. I hope I didn't bore you. Just wanted to get as much information out as possible. Madam Clerk, do you have any speakers?
So for public comment, I'm going to read the first speaker's name, followed by the second speaker, so that you'll be prepared to come up. When you do come up to the mic, just please announce yourself, speak clearly into the mic, and please do not touch the microphone. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. First speaker is B.J. Mendelson. Followed by Liam Weishart.
Wow, what a dynamic speaker. I really enjoyed that campaign speech, and I couldn't help but notice you have some of your friends here from United Monroe to speak out for you tonight. I'll be sure to point them out. I'd like to take everyone back to March 25th, 2022. On that date, in the archive of the Times Herald records, this way Mr. Cardone can't say it's made up, you can find a story reporting that Tony Cardone and Sal Scancarello are directly responsible for recruiting developer Neil Gold and his dinosaur theme park to the town of Monroe. Less than a month later, again, so you can't say it's being made up, the Phone News ran a similar story about Tony and Sal's enthusiasm of the dinosaur theme park. So, to be clear, Tony Cardone and Sal Scancarello are specifically responsible for costing this town up to $30 million for the Rye Hill purchase you all just heard about. And as a result, Monroe taxpayers suffered a near 11% tax increase in 2025, and now there's another 4% increase proposed for 2026. Mr. Cardone, as you just saw, is going to tell you that he's lowering your taxes by 4%, but what he's not telling you is that your taxes are still up 14% overall since 2024 because of his T-Rex-sized blunder. Whether or not Mr. Cardone received any bribes from Mr. Gold is unknown. However, multiple real estate developers told the Monroe Gazette that Mr. Cardone expects to receive bribes in order to move projects through the planning board. So, Mr. Cardone, since you don't respond to email requests for comments from the press, let me ask you now in front of all of these people, did you receive a bribe from Neil Gold as part of your enthusiastic campaign to promote that dinosaur theme park that cost the town $30 million? You got nothing, huh? Good job. Now, on top of your taxes going up 14%, soon you will also all be hit with a bill for up to $1,200 a year for the next 30 years to pay for a sewage plant that this town will not benefit from and that neither Mr. Cardone or Ms. Houle have advocated against. And thank you, shout out to Peter Tilley for ramming that bill down our throat. Now, if you follow these meetings, you'll note that with maybe one or two exceptions, most short-term rentals get approved. One of the very few that get rejected was located less than a mile from Tony's house. I'm sure that was just a coincidence, Mr. Cardone. I mentioned the short-term rentals because many of us are here to talk about the police, but you should know that code enforcement is also the purview of our understaffed and underfunded building department. Despite rubber stamping short-term rentals, Mr. Cardone's 2026 budget does nothing to increase the funding for code enforcement officers. Instead, we're spending $750,000, coming out of our reserve fund, by the way, to handle matters that very well could be handled by a properly staffed building department. I also want to point out that Mr. Cardone lied to everyone at the last meeting. He said the village is the reason for the obstruction in progress of having the village PD patrol the town roads. The actual reason is that Mr. Cardone, Ms. Houle, and Mr. Alex Melcori continue to insist that no independent study is needed to figure out what exactly the village police would need to protect everyone in the town. So, Mr. Cardone and Ms. Houle, I hope you're paying attention, and I hope you take good notes because I'm going to be requesting them tomorrow. I hope you both can answer this question. Would you like to explain during that dynamic presentation you just made, Tony, that no money has been allocated to pay for an independent study to help figure out what the Village PD needs to protect the residents of Monroe? I'll see you real soon.
Next speaker.
Next speaker is Liam Weishart, followed by Louis Rivera.
Liam Weishart, Harriman Heights Road. I just had a few questions about the budget. My first question was that I noticed about $500,000 listed under miscellaneous revenue with no explanation. So I was actually just curious what that number was, if that is the windfall Mr. Cardone mentioned earlier, or if that's something else. A bigger question was what the year-to-date totals are on some of these numbers. This was part of the budgeting process last year, and would really help us know if the 2025 budget had been accurate. One thing I think I mentioned in for the 2025 budget, so in 2024, was that the non-property sales tax was quadrupled for the A fund in that year. And I'd be curious if we're actually making that sales tax now and if it's appropriate to continue to project that amount of sales tax in the future. And the last thing is that I have my concern about the fact that of this $1.5 million drawdown from the fund balance. While it's one thing to say it's going to be a 4% tax decrease this year, that drawdown is about 37% of the size of the entire town tax levy. That's the A, B, DA, DB funds all combined. So that's a pretty large number, and it seems to me, unless something's done, and maybe there is something that's going to be done, that would result in a very large tax increase in the years down the line. And I'd like to know what the plan is to address that. Thank you.
Louis Rivera.
Good evening, Town Board. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor. So, just had a few questions about the budget. The non-property sales tax distribution from Orange County is being allocated differently between A fund and the B fund. Just let everybody know, the A fund is a town and village, and the B fund is a town only. In 2025, the A fund non-property sales tax was $1,080,000, and now in 2026, this non-property sales tax for the 2026 preliminary budget is $994,080. It's down $86,000, or 8%. In 2025, the B fund non-property sales tax for town only was $280,887, but now for the 2026 preliminary budget, B fund is $517,618, is up $236,731. If you want to check, it's on page 1 and page 9. Why are the non-property sales tax disbursements changing in 2026 versus 2025? In total, the 2025 non-sales preliminary sales dollars are growing, but the slice distribution changed heavily, reducing A's share and boosting B's. Is this shift because of the $750,000 sheriff contract? This revenue shift from the A fund to the B fund is resulting in the A fund tax rate of increase of 0.21, yet the B fund homes are down almost 5%. Why? Then my next question is, why are there are no COLA increases for town and personnel, and how can a preliminary budget be reviewed if it is not completed? Thank you.
That's all for public comment.
Comments?
I'll be setting the timer for 5 minutes.
Is it responding to comments or just comments on the budget?
That's what I was going to ask you. I feel like there was a 40-minute budget presentation from one member of the board, and
Yeah.
then the board didn't get to actually weigh in on any board-level issues. And I, as a board member, would now like to respond, but it just feels like, do we get the opportunity to also present as board members or have board comments on the budget versus time allocated to appropriately responding to public hearing. Our rules don't actually designate for
Yeah,
public
For
hearing.
public hearing, they do. So it's 5 minutes for you to respond to comments that were made, and it's 8 minutes for you if you wish to then give your own comments.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking that question. So if you want to respond first, you could do that. We could use a 5-minute timer, and then you would have 8 minutes if you have your own concerns you wish to address.
Mary, you want to just address the comments made first and then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I know some of the speakers had definite line items, and I did note that on my copy. And when it comes to when the board is going to make comments on the budget, I have about 17 items, and I only got to page 8. So I will definitely need my 8 minutes at that time. But yes, some of your comments I have noted in mine as well.
Want to respond to anything?
No, I'll let the
else?
board go through with just the comments to the audience before.
Any
we-
other responses? You have anything? Go first. Why do we do this? Let's just go down the line like that. Okay. I just wanted to address, it seems like there's a confusion between the Rye Hill project, the 260 acres, or rather, it's actually 245 acres purchased as a result of the Rye Hill corridor lawsuit versus the dinosaur theme park, which is a different already owned parcel that was 131 acres. It's off of Orange Turnpike, bordering basically Lake Mumbasia. And it was traded in essentially a forever preservation agreement with the developers of Mansion Ridge in exchange for, back in the 90s, that was higher density. So it's very similar to a lot of the planning board arrangements and requirements that we have, attempting to preserve parcels as town-owned parkland permanently versus, in exchange for concentrated density, which is Mansion Ridge. So the dinosaur theme park and the Rye Hill lawsuit and purchase are completely different. However, I also agree that we did not speak about the land purchase so much in this presentation and the debt ratio that is sort of unprecedented for the town. So we purchased that 250 acres as a result of the Rye Hill corridor lawsuit, again, for $19.5 million, and then after bonding it and refinancing for 30 years, the total interest that we're calculating being paid by the town will fall somewhere around $30 million. So that's a separate and distinct issue. As a board member, I also have concerns about the year-to-date totals being missing. I also haven't received the department asks. One department just emailed me directly being concerned that they're not seeing, as Supervisor Cardone mentioned, that it's just contracted highway workers and there were no other salaries or other personnel services being addressed. So as a board member, I mentioned this last time, essentially we should have materials that we are negotiating right now on behalf of departments, checking columns, checking that the year-to-date totals are matching our projection figures for next time. And we do not have those materials in front of us right now, and those deadlines have passed by a month. So it is interesting that when we caught this mistake of using the wrong tax comparison figures when Supervisor Cardone published the budget first time round late without 24 hours notice to the public, and the board members on this board, at least myself and Councilwoman Bingham, did not receive that in what we felt was a respectful time period for a board member to review. We caught this mistake pretty quickly because things weren't adding up. It was an 11% tax raise because of a $20 million land purchase, so how were we raising total taxes again by approximately 10%. It didn't make sense, especially with so many figures removed. So that is what our function is as board members. We're supposed to catch these mistakes and have oversight, and that's what the budgetary process is for. But after catching that, I'm surprised to see the same amount of
1 minute.
drawdown. Sorry?
1 minute.
From the fund balance. So instead of having these years during COVID where, it was an unprecedented time in society, towns might have thought the economy will even out, let's give people a tax break. And in a lot of those towns that chose that financial scenario, they then had to financially correct over the course of the next several years. And I think we should have learned from that financial choice. And I personally think it was a mistake to try to lower taxes. I know that many families were struggling to make ends meet, but in the end, we're going to have to make that correction. So to see a negative 4% and such a high drawdown, again, I wouldn't recommend it. I would do forward projection and try to at least accommodate for some cushion and try to correct for those COVID era. I don't think we covered everything as we're talking about costs, inflation, everything like that we're still seeing that. Yep.
Okay, so Mr. Mendelson, I took very good notes during your comments. I did notice that there weren't any issues that you wanted us to deal with as far as the town goes. There were a whole bunch of accusations, unfounded and baseless accusations that you made against members of this board. Some of those have to deal with the police public hearing, so I will address those in the following public hearing, as this one was just for the budget. As far as the budget goes, we've been involved with doing budgets for many, many, many years. As a matter of fact, I dug out some notes that I have from the 2024 budget, the 2025 budget, and for those of you who are new to the budget process, like Councilwoman Richardson, this is very much a process. So the budget gets introduced, and the very first thing that we have to decide for the budget are the elected official salaries. We have to pass a resolution for the elected official salaries. It's the first thing we have to do. That's why it seems like in certain municipalities, though not this one, and I'm sorry, Val, in certain municipalities, you'll see raises for only elected officials and nothing for anybody else. You won't see the COLA raises because we're not at that point of the budget discussions just yet. This is very much a process. So in last year, for example, we received one copy of the budget, the preliminary budget, on October 21st, 2024, and then we received a follow-up copy of the budget November 18th. The budget has to be adopted by November 20th. So from that time, from the minute, for those of you who are unfamiliar with this process, from the minute that the budget gets presented to the board, we work on it in increments. So we will, over the course of several meetings, we will add in raises for our employees. We will address needs of the town. Mr. Mendelson, this public hearing should have been used to address things that you'd like to see the budget address. This would have been,
Please
don't
refrain
speak
from shouting out.
from the audience. This is the opportunity for residents to come up to the board and to say, we'd really like for you to be able to invest money in the town of Monroe as it relates to X. That's what these are for. So, over the course of this process, Councilwoman Richardson, we will address many things. And yes, those numbers will change. Supervisor Cardone said the same thing. That negative 4% change in the budget for town residents, that's going to change. That's no longer going to be negative 4%. That will move up. For the village residents, we are not going to only see a 0.21% increase in our taxes. That will go up. But it will go up over the course of the negotiations.
Councilman Hool, that was well put, on point. I agree with everything you said. Supervisor Cardone's done this budget as long as I've been on the board, and he's done a fiscally incredible job. He's been responsible. He's been attentive. You can always get a hold of him regarding the budget. He's accessible all the time, and I think the guy does a great job.
You spoke,
Can
right?
we use our
Oh, you
To
did?
the public.
total budget
Not on- not on-
concerns now? Yeah.
Excuse me, hold on.
I spoke to the public, but I still have comments.
Go ahead.
Mary, hold on one second, let me add another
Gotta
timer.
reset.
8 minutes?
8-minute comments now?
Each.
Yes.
Yep.
Minutes?
That's
It's
for
to-
the board members' concerns. Your rules under the public hearing are 5 minutes for board members to respond, and then toward the end of the hearing, 8 minutes to address your concerns.
Like board comments specifically as a presentation.
These are your comments
Yeah.
as a board member.
So first of all, I am not a financial person, and I thank Roberta McBride very much because she has sat with me, and back when Helen Knickerbocker was also in the finance department, they spent some time with me to explain things, and a long time has passed, so I still have some questions, and I know they'll answer it, or the supervisor will. So I looked through only up to page 8 in the budget, and I still know I'm going to have more comments. But number one, where is the revenue from the O&R substation? What line will that be found on?
I think it's in rental.
Okay,
I don't know what you mean by the O&R substation.
the $100 we're supposed to get.
$1,200 a month.
$1,200 a month,
No, sorry, $1,200 for the year.
right, it's, okay, $100 a month.
O&R contracted with us to rent the land by,
Larkin Drive.
Larkin. And we have a contract negotiated with them for $100 a month.
Off the top of my head, I don't know where that money is in
Okay,
there, but
that's just a question I have. Number two, line A0002421, lease payments, that would probably be page 1.
that is the rent from the trooper barracks from the state.
Okay, that's only the trooper barracks.
Wait, which line?
On page 1.
A2421,
A2421.
lease payment collected, that's the rent from the trooper
That's the rent from
barracks.
the trooper barracks, right?
Because there's a multi-year lease on that property, so it has to be coded in that line.
Okay, so that's trooper barracks. Next one is A0002610, fines and forfeited bail.
Those are the fees from Justice Court.
Okay. Now, I know we have, the titles on our budget that I have here are saying 25 adopted, 24 adopted, but I don't know what year-to-date for 2025 is. So I'd like, actually, for all the lines, for if I could get the 2025 year-to-date.
Personally, I did not have time to update that in
And I
all of those budget
understand that.
lines. So,
Okay, so that's something we can work on in
but
the
those numbers
future.
overall are in the presentation.
Right, but sometimes, like for fines and forfeited bail, we've had a lot of discussion about the
Through-
courts.
Through, I will tell you this, Mary, through, I think, the end of September, it was at about approximately $165,000.
Okay, because my comment, I remember last year was, are we overestimating how much revenue the courts are going to bring in? So that's where I'm going with this. Because back in 2024, we were at 535,000, and now we're at 302,000 for the tentative 2026. So that's my line of thinking. What are we as of year-to-date, so I can see if this is a realistic projection or not. Okay. Also, would that include civil judgments, or is that totally separate from the courts? Like something Mr. Nugent might handle? I don't know if that's...
Civil judgments don't come to us.
Go to the party, typically, whoever is getting awarded the judgment. Unless the town's
Right, if the town
Yes.
had something.
I don't even
Like
know
the
who
only,
they bring in.
the only judgment I know of this year is the judgment against the Village of Harriman and the Village of Monroe regarding the lawsuits against the Rye Hill being put in the A fund.
But that's not your court, that's the Orange County Supreme.
No, I know, but we received
Money, yes.
reimbursement for that.
Yeah,
So
right.
that goes towards legal? expenses?
That went into legal, yeah.
Well,
That
that was a
goes into legal.
reimbursement of attorney's fees is what was paid to the town as a sanction, so they paid your attorney's fees.
So I think
Right.
Mary Bingham is referencing when something goes to court as, say, a criminal building code violation, and then, say, Kevin reaches out with a settlement offer, where do those civil
Goes-
settlements
The
go?
building department.
If it emanates from the building department, it
Goes
winds
to
up
the
in
building
the building.
department, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, kind of not on my list, but and I don't think I saw it, that I remember, does the building department, since it utilizes the prosecutor, do they share in the expenses for the prosecutor and the clerk? That's not on my list, but I'll ask that
That's-
now.
That's a cost associated with the town. It's not an expense for the building department.
Was they utilize it more than other areas, I would think.
Well, that's because, from what I understand, is one of the judges wouldn't allow Ben to go before the court. She required a prosecutor to
And
go.
I have a different remembrance of that, but I'm not going to look through 5 years of
don't need
videos
to
to find
remember.
that. But
We-
anyway, let me continue.
It's not
Cell
the
phones,
case.
have we looked into other providers to see if we can get our best bang for our buck, so to speak? That
Provider of what?
cell phone service.
Oh.
Because sometimes if you bundle things, you get a better rate. And I think we use AT&T, Verizon.
Verizon.
Verizon, but if we bundle it with somebody else, could we get a better rate?
Well, we've reduced the number of cell phones that the town has
But
considerably.
still, all
Like a
department
family
heads have
plan,
one.
you know.
All the department heads have one, basically.
Has anyone revisited and called Verizon? Like, if you have elderly parents, or even if you just stop paying attention to your cell phone bill, you have kids, you're paying all these different cell phones, even if it's 3 or 4 people.
Business accounts are operated a little differently,
Yeah,
right,
that's what I
Roberta?
was going to say. It's a business account. And I think it was visited like maybe a little over a year ago.
I think last August or September it was
Raised
visited.
this last budget as well.
Okay, so
just
that
to make
answers
sure
my
that we're
question.
getting
It has been visited.
updated plans.
Can I get copies of all the department worksheets? Because I'd kind of like to know what the departments are thinking as to some of the line items. That's just a question. I know they do turn it in. Next one is A000-1410, 4120-00. It's the Town Clerk Records Management. There's $50,000 in there so I know Val got a great grant the other year, and the
Yeah.
records office looks really nice. I was wondering, do we really need $50,000?
The other side of it is in the revenue. So she has a grant for $50,000 and an expense for $50,000.
Okay, I
So if
just
she
didn't...
gets the money, she'll spend it. If she doesn't, she won't spend it.
Okay. If she doesn't get it, she won't spend it. That's easy to do. Okay. Okay, again with the prosecutor. A000-1030-00 and A000-1421-4010-02.
All right, what page is this now?
Great.
It's under
Page three.
prosecutor.
This is your-
It's the
It's
prosecutor.
under legal services.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't write page numbers down, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to be asked that way. Since we are seeing less items in the court, do we really need to spend as much money for the prosecutor and the clerk? I know the clerk used to be here more days out of the week, and now he's here basically one day and doing some phone check-in kind of stuff. So do we really need as much to be as an expense for those services?
I will tell you this, that the question surrounding that, there was a reduction of a little over $5,000 in the clerk's part-time salary. But you also have to remember, if we do retain the services of a law enforcement agency, they will be writing tickets in the town.
True.
So then it doesn't currently correspond with
So then,
projected
should
need.
we increase it instead of lowering it? You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
these are just
Mary-
things we
Mary,
have to
listen,
discuss. We have to discuss it.
every-
That's all I'm asking.
No,
The-
and that's why I'm saying that to you. There's placeholders in there because we don't know what's going to happen with any municipal IMA for law enforcement services. I mean, if you tell me today to increase it and then nothing happens, then we're not being fiscally responsible.
Right,
Our
and if nothing
contracting-
happens, then we should decrease it even more. So we'll have to wait and see where the next public hearing goes.
You are contracting with the agency. That's, the goal of this agency is to contract with a stopgap police agency who I just got off the phone with today, and they said, we're so happy to be working with you. So it seems you've already made up your mind.
No, there's
We
no,
haven't signed anything.
There's
We
no
haven't
deal.
Not
authorized
their
the
impression of
supervisor
matter.
to sign anything.
there's no deal. There has never been a deal. In order for there to be a deal, this board has to approve me signing a deal.
Yes, it doesn't become legal until we pass a resolution, but your
I-
goal is to have that stopgap occur. It's not like there's
I'm
not
not-
three
Can we let
people on the
Councilwoman
board.
Bingham finish?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
All right, we already addressed the theater. Yes, I would like to see the theater stay a theater, but we have to find some way to make it less expensive as a town is incurring an expense basically to keep that building open. Okay, the Monroe Woodbury school tax, the county, town, and village taxes. I'm assuming it's at 34 Mill Pond Parkway, so that's all again with the theater. There are expenses because it's, even though it's a municipal property, it's not being used as a municipal function. So we have to pay the county taxes. So we really have to look into this theater. Line item A0019894500-00, other general government sup. I ran out of room on my sticky note. It's-
Well, so did the line, because it actually ends that
Oh, it
way.
did.
Yeah, it
So,
does. Other
I-
general government, it would be support.
Okay, so that's what my question is. What is the other government support?
That outside aid.
Do you have a
Oh,
page
that's
number
an
on that?
expense.
Oh.
It's on page 5. I'll have to look that up and get back to you, Mary.
Okay, that's fine. The next one has to do with the ambulance. A0045404503-00. Ambulance Advanced Life Support Intercept.
One
It was
minute.
about, 2 or 3 years ago,
Page
Dory, you
5.
had looked into the amount of intercept calls?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I'd like to know if that number is staying constant or going up or going down. That's, so we can determine if that's really.
If we need to leave that number at 32 or raise it or
Right.
lower it.
Because I think, wasn't in the check signing, there were like 3 intercepts in the past 2 weeks?
Yes, and the number of of the ALS calls have been on a slight uptick based on my
Slight uptick.
conversation with Greg Schmidt from the county's emergency services.
A dial-a-ride, I think their fuel and tires, A005630, 4304, and 4305. I know tires are expensive, and I know gas prices, even though they've come down a little bit now, if we're providing the service, and I think more people are using dial-a-ride now, maybe those lines should be increased. Next one is park and cemetery repair and maintenance. A000711 4303-00.
I mean, do we
So
really want to do
close.
this? It's a budget meeting and she has comments. Like, if she has a list of comments, we just sat through a
Parks,
40
you talk
minutes.
parks and cemetery repair and maintenance?
Right, should
Yeah.
that be increased?
No, because we got a new contractor in there to, which reduced the cost associated with maintenance of that.
In the parks as well?
No,
Because it's,
That line is just the cemetery.
that's just a cemetery line. It's
Okay,
a little
because-
misleading.
yes, because that was my question, it said park and cemetery. All right. I just have two more things. Meal on Wheel mileage reimbursement. I hope we have more people volunteering for that. A007610-4189-00, so I think that might need to be increased. And Senior Center, equipment and furniture, $40,000, A007620-2000-00. I just wanted to know what the new furniture is.
I believe she was buying new chairs and some new tables, along with repairing some of the patio area. There's possibly new HVAC units in that too.
As I said, I only got to page 8, and thank you for giving me the extra
Yeah.
2 minutes.
No problem. As far as the Meals on Wheels mileage reimbursement, that number is based on what we have from this year. And I know that there are volunteers that don't ask for the mileage reimbursement. That's kind of them. They should be getting the mileage reimbursement. In regard to Councilwoman Richardson's comment about changing the drawdown, I'm not going to change the drawdown before we come to the first public hearing. That's a point that could possibly be done, but I'm not going to do it until the public gets the opportunity to comment on it. The comment regarding a bribe was just filled with ignorance. I don't accept bribes. I've never accepted a bribe. I won't accept a bribe. And that's, pretty silly to actually come up here and accuse any of us of doing. That's really all I have regarding the budget tonight. Okay.
Oh, I have my own.
Maureen has her.
Yeah, I wanted to reiterate my overall concerns with the budget, and answer some of the presentation. So, when we get complaints that taxes are rising from, constituents at large, it's not just this tax. Like, obviously, some people confuse the school tax, which can be, crushing for residents, and they, argue with the assessed value of their house. And yes, by all means, please, talk to the assessor. And if you feel that your house's assessed value is inaccurate, there are really lovely people there who will work with you to get that down. I personally had to do that. And, but they are also talking about, their water, their sewer, their drainage districts, and other things that aren't like in this necessarily budget talks, but in the benefit
Speak into the mic.
assessment rules that are also, being discussed. If you live in a water district, if you live in a sewer district, those are all separate charges. And we have, unfortunately, a couple districts who are, seeing what they thought was $1 million additional expense only on, 75 households, Mary? In Water District 1?
Yes.
And, yes, 75. And now they're seeing that, triple to $3 million. So, don't take those comments as though that, this is the only issue of budgeting, equipment, planning ahead, and maintaining and repairs that, the town is responsible for. The budget presentation using our individual real properties rather than representative tax parcels from the actual, town versus village, half acre, quarter acre versus 1 acre. I don't understand that. I think it would have been better to address different lot sizes and what those individuals would actually see, and then maybe also discuss the special districts. So I don't understand that. That seemed like not valuable for the townspeople's time. I want to also address the village versus town funds, and I've done this each time that I've been on the board. There's a municipal policy, and I wanted to ask you about this, Nugent. It was in my formal comments last time, that it basically says you should allocate the county's sales revenue and everything that comes, the windfall that comes from the county, in a certain formulaic way, distributing it primarily to the village, meeting a threshold, and then moving on to the town. And it seems, as one commenter mentioned, that we're not meeting those standards, and we are disparately spreading those numbers, not evenly, more toward the town only. And I've discussed this with village officials, and they're also confused. They'd like a response on how that is formulaically determined, if it's a standard that's outlined, if it's specific numbers, or if, what's going on with that. So that would be good to have that specific research done by your office, because I've read some numbers, but obviously you have access to, legal services that I do not. And that was just a concern that even certain, county revenue is not being evenly distributed, so that, why is the town only taxed -4 while the, inside village, who are already disparately taxed, inherently by being in a village, because the village also creates their own budget, and their taxes are innately higher. We should, as a town, make every effort to give those individuals a break on our end, and have a more evenly spread taxation, between village and town. It's just common sense. If you're already in a completely distinct municipality than the town, and your services are completely funded and provided in almost every way separate than ours by the village board, then I don't see why their town tax rate as assigned by us is higher. So that's just my opinion. I think that we need to look at the way we're distributing across the A and B for certain revenues, and let's see. Yes, so I mentioned this the first time that we were presented the budget, and as much as you want to tout experience, and we've always done it this way, the reality is that the supervisor is supposed to adhere to a timeline and respect the council members' ability and timeline to create then workshop meetings. And we have not, in the entire time I've been coming to town board meetings and been on the board, had any kind of workshop meeting where we are not timed, where we are not in this formal sort of mode. And every single other municipality has a workshop meeting where department heads used to, years ago, be invited in shifts to present their asks. We could then interact with them, ask them about our priorities of constituents who had approached us over the years. If Anne Marie were here, we could speak about, programming for seniors, trips, whatever is going on. We could discuss openly with, our town justices what is happening with court revenue. Are they disallowing the building inspector from using, representing themselves in court? And they could answer themselves. So this is a very siloed, delayed, and lacking oversight and transparency in this process, because once again, department heads are mandated by September 20th to send their asks in writing, which of course can change and evolve throughout the budget process, and the preliminary budget presented to the town board. Those asks were, again, September 20th. It was supposed to be presented to the board October 5th or earlier. And workshop meetings are not scheduled, and this is the second time in a row. So, I've been hearing from our departments, and they're not happy. They feel that they are asking for something, and it's just swept away. And they are not having a high amount of say in what's going on in the process, and neither are the townsfolk. I wish people knew more about the budget process, because they could come down and ask to see, more fiscal investment towards activities, parks, etc. And I feel like people don't have that opportunity because we're not scheduling workshop meetings. As for the sheriff's department, I could mention this in the other hearing, but I'm concerned about insurance, as looking at the proposed contract. It has our liability as a town if there was a police incident, if there was damage to a vehicle in the line of duty, God forbid some officer was injured. Everything that has to do with that actually falls fully on the town of Monroe. And I tried to reach out to Emory and Webb to see if we would see any kind of increase in our insurance rates, or if we had to account for that. And if you'll allow me 20 more seconds to relay a golden conversation, I basically reached out to the county attorney with concern that I felt that the town could be held harmless, as the county sheriffs already police Orange County innately. Like, why is the town responsible for police officers that they do not direct, control in any way? And he asked us, well, they'll be working in tandem with your police department. And I had to explain to Rick that we don't have a police department and they will not be directed by our police department. And Rick said that, well, he's not going to modify the liability that he uses for every other town for us. So we do need to, look into associated costs if the investment in the sheriffs is where we're going with that. So, thank you.
Both of those points regarding the sheriffs have already been addressed in discussions about 2 months ago. Can you also let me know, you don't have to tell me tonight, you could tell me or email me which departments are not happy? And finally, I stated last meeting that the budget did not have to be presented to the board, not on October 5th, on October 6th. You keep
That's wrong. Because
reiterating that.
it's a state
And
law.
Why don't you ask Mr. Nugent what's right and what's wrong? October 5th was a Sunday.
That's not how state law works. It was on or before October 5th. You were supposed to schedule a special meeting for the budget if by October 5th did not work. October 5th was a Sunday. You realize that we can schedule a town board meeting at any time. Sundays are not exempt from town board meeting schedules.
Counsel, can you please explain to her?
So in New York State, there's something called the General Construction Law, and that provides that if a date that some act is due falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday, that is therefore due the next business day. So
Including on or before.
That is
They
correct,
literally
on or
specify.
before. If it says on or before October 5th and that falls on a Sunday, then it's moved. If you recall, we send letters to the town every year explaining the budget dates, and some of them fall on a Saturday or Sunday, so we explain that particular date gets moved. In this case, you're supposed to open your public hearing by November 15th under the law, under the town law, but because that's a weekend, it moved to November 17th this year, and that's quite common, and pretty much every town does it. That's the law.
You want to split hairs over one day instead of addressing the higher order concern that board members are kept out of fiduciary oversight responsibility. That's on you. My point is that no person on this board or in this administration should be treated as a diminished member when every single one of those people in the audience is somebody I serve, and I went around and was elected fairly just like everyone on this board, and I'm here to serve each and every one of them, and I am not to be prevented from doing my financial oversight duties. You want to talk about experience and how I'm inexperienced? She doesn't even know these deadlines exist at all. She's talking about how we got a preliminary budget in the middle of October and that it was great and fixed by the end. Like, how much do the board actually participate when our own departments are complaining that they don't even have a foothold? They're paid full-time salaries. It's their departments. We are literally hiring them to run, and then we don't give them the resources or the leeway to do so, and we don't even communicate with them. We're talking about preservation and parkland fees that are building our parks. We don't have a tree fee schedule. We worked on a tree fee law for 3 years, and it was finalized, and you don't have a tree fee schedule. He can't even charge people to enforce tree cutting ordinances.
We're getting away
in
from
this
the
law.
budget
We're not
discussion.
getting away.
Yes, we
Where's
are.
the money for the trees that are cut down illegally coming from if you don't have a fee schedule?
And that's on the agenda tonight.
Great, 3 years too late. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. I'll make a motion to keep open the public hearing for the budget until 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter on November 6th, 2025.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, I'll make a motion to open the continuation of public hearing regarding police services in the town.
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Richardson, aye.
Madam Clerk, before you begin, I just want to make one other statement. I want to stress this once again. Our goal, and it has been from the start, is to eventually retain the services of the Village of Monroe Police Department. We've stated this from the beginning. The reason being state police is hindered from assisting us on code violations, nuisance issues, and patrolling our community on a consistent basis. We're looking to be proactive, and we don't want to receive a call that is reactive, and we need to remain proactive in the community. One of the biggest complaints is speed violations, which are jeopardizing the safety of many of our children. Prior to that goal being reached, meaning the IMA, with the Village of Monroe, we are considering, and I repeat, considering the temporary services of other police agencies, the Orange County Sheriff's included. There is no done deal. There is no done deal. There's no deal that has been done. Anybody that understands municipal government knows that in order for me to sign an agreement, it has to be approved by this board, which I stated previously. Please refrain from believing the rumors, social media posts, and conversations many are making online. Thank you to those residents who called my office for clarification. Yes, there have been discussions with multiple agencies. Here are some facts generated from the last meeting. Why the Sheriff's Department? Because they are an established agency ready to begin. Unlike our great local police agencies, which unfortunately will need time and effort to increase their staff and equipment. The Sheriff's Department is a litmus test that will enable us to ultimately save money in the long run. And forward thinking is why we're doing that. The Orange County Sheriff's Department is an agency that has had an agreement with the federal government to house criminals that are detained by ICE for many years, not just recently. Those prisoners are from various parts of our country. Some of them are placed here because they remain close to their families. Every single one of those inmates that are in Orange County Jail have had criminal records prior to going in there. First speaker.
First speaker is B.J. Mendelson, followed by Carol Soteropoulos. Again, you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Please speak clearly. Please speak clearly into the mic. Give me just 1 second, Mr. Mendelson, please.
Dory, otolaryngologist, go get one.
I ask that the audience remain respectful to all the speakers. Thank you. You may begin.
Great. What you just said was BS, Tony. Most of the people held in OCJ are actually from New York City. There has been hunger strikes. There have been multiple lawsuits against OCJ, against the Sheriff's Department for mistreatment of the people there. And many of those people there don't necessarily have criminal convictions. So thanks again for gaslighting us. Can't wait to hear what some of your United Monroe friends have to share later. Back in 2019, Tony Cardone informed the Photo News that his biggest concern for the year was the new bail reform law. Despite Tony's racist fear-mongering and Dory Hoole's later racist fear-mongering with her almost $500,000 spent in campaign ads, Mr. Cardone never spoke to the village PD or state PD about increasing their presence in town. Never. So for you to sit there and say, oh, it's going to take years for them to get ramped up, you have been in office, sir, for almost a decade. What the hell have you been doing? Nothing. The Monroe Gazette had a chance to speak with a number of people associated with the state police. I can confirm that at no point has Mr. Cardone ever brought up resident concerns about the level of policing available in town. In fact, in 2022, Mr. Cardone told the Photo News, this way you can't say no one that you didn't say it, Mr. Cardone told the Photo News that everyone in Monroe was happy with their level of policing. So I find it interesting that all of a sudden Mr. Cardone has $750,000 spent, which, by the way, is a budget issue, to spend on the Sheriff's Department, money he could have saved by having a simple conversation with the state police. That leaves the impression that this arrangement with the Sheriff's Department is a campaign stunt funded with your tax dollars, everyone in this room, just to have a couple of unpopular and deeply inept incumbents reelected. That brings us to Sheriff Paul Arteta. Despite what you just heard, just days after the October 6th town board meeting, where Tony and Dory said nothing was decided, Mr. Arteta himself said to our first responders that the arrangement, and this is a quote, is a done deal. Good job, Dory. You lied to everybody. Good job, Tony. You did it too. And I'll remind you that the only person at the October 6th meeting who spoke in favor of the sheriff's presence just so happened to have a Cardone campaign sign on their lawn. 99.9% of the crowd is completely against it. We reached out to the sheriff's department and they said no deal is set. However, after Mr. Arteta's statement, residents sent us numerous photos of the sheriff's department all over the town. I also asked the sheriff's department if they would protect Monroe residents from ICE agents. News 12 asked the same question. You know what the answer was? Nothing. And I'll remind the three of you gutless weirdos that I asked each of you whether or not you support ICE enforcement in the town of Monroe, and you refused to answer the question. This is very concerning, given that recent reports from ProPublica stated that over 170 American citizens have been arrested and detained by ICE this year. Of our brothers and sisters who are residents here in America, and I'll remind you, Dory, especially tough on crime, Dory Hoole, that our residents, whether they are here legally or illegally, are guaranteed the right under the 14th Amendment to equal protection and due process under the law. You do the crime, you do the time, right, Dory? If the Sheriff's Department refuses to answer a simple question about whether or not they're going to protect us from ICE, then our tax dollars should not be given to them. Finally, I want to note that Dory Hoole again lied to everyone at the October 6th meeting. Since she can plainly be seen taking notes during that meeting, Dory also said on camera that she did so. But when the Monroe Gazette put in a FOIA request for Dory's notes, you know what both the town and the town attorney sitting right over there said? No such records exist, right, Brian?
For 2026, the date you put down?
Yes, that's very clever of you, but no such records exist.
I didn't write your FOIA request, Mr. Mendelson. You did.
Yes, very good. You spend, what costs about $11,000 a month to town taxpayers? Getting their money's worth, Brian. Ms. Hoole, who so often says that if you want the truth, you should come to a town board meeting, and who did not respond to emails seeking comments, I'd like to ask you directly in front of all these people, why'd you lie to them about taking notes? Because the town says no notes don't exist. Was the fix already in? And by the way, Tony, if you've never taken a bribe, surely you'll have no problem releasing your tax returns for every year since you've been supervisor. Shouldn't be a problem, right, buddy? And last but not least, that town employee, there is a recording saying that you called them, quote, a spick multiple times during their time
Let's
here
refrain
at
from
the town.
using that terminology.
That is a direct quote from the town employee. So why don't you go and talk to your employees, Mr. I'm so big on HR all of a sudden, and listen to what they have to say. You guys clearly do not care about the health and safety of the people of this town. You don't care about black and brown people. You both made that clear with your nonsense about bail reform and Dory Hoole's tough on crime routine.
Time's up.
I'm coming for you next, Sal.
Bring it.
Carol Soteropoulos, followed
Supervisor
by Corey
Cardone,
Robbins.
could you please enforce the rules of conduct on each speaker as it comes up?
Good evening.
Did you guys need signatures? Come on up.
I'm sorry, Carol.
Carol, hold on one sec. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carol. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening. I came before this board in July to raise awareness about the ICE budget, higher than the entire military budget of Italy. I talked about people's fears of going to work, of sending their children to school. No one knew what might happen right here on our local streets. Jump to today, to all that has transpired since then, regarding ICE here, Add in the new old issue of policing the town, I could speak for an hour, but I have only 5 minutes, so here's the key point. First, any conflict of interest, whether real or perceived, clears the way to avoid accountability. Now, you have heard and read, plain and clear, that the OC Sheriff's Office has contracted with ICE since 2008 for the OC jail to serve as a detention center. And now you have heard plain and clear that ICE agents have conducted repeated operations in Monroe since July, when I alerted you to potential tempting collaboration offers because money talks. Oh yes, money talks. It has yet to be explained to your constituents why you would contract with the sheriff's office and not our own local village. I understand it's supposed to be in progress negotiations, but yes, you sent the village an IMA. It must have had very different terms. Question mark? Clearly, it turned out to be a hollow gesture, terms you knew the village could not and would not accept, dead upon arrival. I have communicated with the village police chief. I will read you his words, but first, I want to say that the village police can be trusted to follow the protocols set out by the state attorney general with respect to ICE. I cannot say that about the sheriff's office. I want to say that the village police are community-oriented with 4 bilingual officers and a Hispanic outreach initiative in place. The entire force is trained in local protection. This is not the same training that sheriff officers undergo. These are different types of policing, and we deserve the local brand. Here are Chief Guzman's words. I do not object to my village board's discussions with the town regarding providing police services. The village board will be the decision-making authority to provide those services to the town after a comprehensive analysis. So there's obviously no objection there. So what is the objection here? Why is it taking so long? Why have years been going by and now all of a sudden we're looking to the sheriff's office? We need an explanation. To reiterate, we, your constituents, deserve to be kept far from conflicts of interest, far from where money is doing the talking. The sheriff's office, our county, has profited handily from its jail connection with ICE. Enough is enough. Again, please explain and please clarify agenda item 4.4, possible motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing regarding police services in the town. I guess this is just going to be ongoing, but still, this is not the moment. This is not the time to bring in the sheriff's office. Even if it means expanding the state police, whatever, or a temporary agreement with the village police, if you can arrange a temporary agreement with the sheriff's office for 6 months, you can do that with the village police too. There's no objection there. There are all these reasons not to do this, and I don't see really any reason to go forward with this. And so I appreciate your attention, and I hope that you will follow through and do what's right for the citizenry here, the local citizens. And as we know, and I've said this in July also, and it's been repeated here, but many people are not aware, just not aware of the 14th Amendment of our Constitution. I quote, "No state shall make or enforce any law which will abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States." Okay, there's for our citizens. "Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws." And we have seen this violated by ICE across our country, and here in many towns in Orange County. It's been reported in our local Times Herald, Times Union. It's all over the place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kara.
Next speaker is Corey Robbins, followed by Maria May.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath, yeah.
takes a lot for me to
Just
do this.
speak into the mic.
Okay.
Can you just state your name again?
Corey Robbins. Okay. So it takes a lot for me to do this, to be up here, so this means a lot to me. Okay. I respectfully urge the board to reconsider the decision to contract with Orange County Sheriff's Department. While I understand the intention may be to strengthen public safety, I believe this change would have serious and lasting consequences for our community, particularly for our immigrant neighbors who already live with fear and uncertainty. Over the years, the Monroe Police Department has built a beautiful and trusting relationship with the people it serves. That trust was not created overnight. It was earned through compassion, accountability, and a community presence. To now hand that responsibility over to the Orange County Sheriff's Department, a force with a more distant presence and a troubling history of unchecked abuse, risks undoing years of bridge building and progress. Many residents already feel vulnerable. The prospect of being policed by a force not rooted in our community heightens that fear and creates a perception that actions such as ICE raids or racial profiling could occur without consequences. It also raises the fundamental question: who will police the police? True safety comes from not fear, but from trust. Monroe's strength lies in its inclusivity and its commitment to protecting all who call it home. To outsource that trust is to weaken the very fabric of our community. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Corey.
very much. Well done.
You did a good job.
Maria May, followed by Chuck Summerlad. Maria
Oh,
May first. Chuck.
First, Chuck.
Chuck.
Hello.
State your name, please.
My name is Maria May. I live in Tuxedo, New York. I want to clarify something that Mr. Cardone said about Tuxedo at the last town board meeting. The town of Tuxedo never hired Orange County sheriffs for policing the town. In 2015, when the town was under fiscal distress, Tuxedo had to reduce its full-time police staff, and that eliminated most overnight coverage, relying on part-time officers and the New York State Police for backup. After years of budgetary austerity and good financial planning by our town boards, the town of Tuxedo was able to expand the police force to a full-time roster and once again provide 24-hour service. This happened in 2023 during my tenure as a council person in Tuxedo. I cannot overstate the importance of being able to identify and get to know our officers who are there on our roads, at town events, and in our schools. This makes residents feel safe and can help cut down on crime, since folks are more willing to contact police if they know them and trust them. I don't think the public can create this type of rapport with sheriff officers who are not part of the community. I cannot understand, and I understand that now that you are still working on this, but why this town board majority is not been able to work out an intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Monroe to keep Monroe policing local. To end, I'd like to tell you a personal story. 2 weeks ago, I accidentally crashed my phone on Route 17. My phone sent a crash notification to Tuxedo Police and to my daughters in New York City, who of course were completely panicked. They called 911, they were passed through to Tuxedo Police, and the civilian dispatchers were able to notify my daughter during the call that I was okay. Fortunately, this time was just a crashed phone and not a crashed car. But had that been a more serious emergency, the prompt service and familiarity these officers had with me and my family would have been an even bigger difference. You lose that when officers responding to an emergency don't know the people they are serving, or may not even be familiar with the area where the incident happened. I am grateful that we have a great local police force in Tuxedo and I am glad that we were able to work out a contract that was beneficial for all stakeholders. I hope Monroe residents will also be able to enjoy the benefits of local policing, and I am glad that you are continuing to negotiate towards that end. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Chuck Summerlad, followed by Rabbi Roger Lerner.
Hello, Chuck Summerlad, Aquaria Street, Monroe. I moved up to Monroe 1974 when I was only 6 years old. I have been living in the town for all that time, except for about 5 years I was in Rockland County. I grew up in the village. My mom still lives in the village. My sister lives in the village. And we would always see village police driving around. And now I'm up in the town, up close to West Monbassia, and I haven't seen a state trooper probably one time in probably 7 or 8 years. And I'm talking, I run on the roads on West Monbassia. Some of you probably try to hit me. But I'm up there. I've never seen in the last 5 years one trooper up there. Through the development, granted it's pretty safe, I haven't seen a trooper. So we definitely need some more police support. I have confidence in the board that they will make the correct decision. I know they have trying to get something along with the village. When it comes to the condescending speakers coming up here disrespecting the board, I take that as very disrespectful, just as a Monroe resident, that we have people that come up here and talk like little children, okay? I happen to have known the supervisor who basically helped us get a pickleball court. I was there the first day we played pickleball. There is a big group of people up there. We have a lot of people there playing soccer. I was the one who was up there when the picnic tables were destroyed. I believe it was another Eagle Scout, and I actually was the one that reported it.
Oh, the Eagle Scout didn't destroy
them. I'm sorry. The other Eagle Scout put it together, and some other people destroyed it. And so we definitely need people up there. There's a lot more people up there playing the soccer. If you see what happens with these soccer games, they're parked all over the street. So I have faith in the town board to make the right decision. The people that are accusing Tony Cordone of racist activity, a man that coached Pop Warner football for about 30 years in this town, of people of all races, black, white, Hispanic, the boys that loved that man, who played and who he developed them into the men that they are today, they would be in here and they would be speaking on his behalf. It's pretty hard to prove a negative. If somebody calls you something, how do you prove you're not that? Okay? I can tell you he is not that. The man has done a lot. He's worked for Make-A-Wish Foundation. I know my niece had leukemia, and he was one of the people that helped make her dream come true. Okay? So I have full faith that he is going to make the right decision along with the board. When it comes to the sheriff, all this talk about ICE, what is ICE doing? They're upholding the law of the United States. These are federal laws. That's what they are doing, okay? So to get all riled up that they got somebody who is here illegally, and everybody wants to talk about, oh, they got somebody maybe that was a citizen, they're getting the bad guys, okay? That's the way it is. So I believe the town board will do what is best for the town of Monroe, and I think we need to respect their decision, and hopefully they come to one in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Rabbi Roger Lerner, followed by Dan Burke.
Rabbi.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm Rabbi Roger Lerner. I spoke up about 2 weeks ago, and I said I was here because someone asked me to, and I am here again because I have been asked to speak because people are afraid still to come out. I do that because I feel like I have no stake in it. I won't receive any benefit from what I'm asking, and I'm hoping that my voice might be a little more powerful in that mind, that I am not speaking for myself, but for a community that is feeling afraid. You have heard a lot of people talk for, most of them have been for in the sense of asking you to reconsider the idea of partnering with the Orange County Sheriff because of their commitment and contract with ICE. Because it does give them, from what I have read, limited ability in which to question people's immigration status. That's straightforward as that. And the reason why that's important, today I wanted to thank Sergeant Grossman, who is an officer from the village of Monroe, who's in the back, who's doing what he's supposed to be doing. In talking with Chief Guzman, he had shared that his officers are explicitly directed to not ask about immigration status. That is a part of what they do as their policing effort. And he's been making rounds in the Hispanic community and in general to share that, to make sure that they know that that is not what they're going to do. They're just going to police the area. And that's an important distinction, where if you have the sheriffs, they can, because that's a part of the contract, part of their ability in which to do. If you were contracted and instead of Sergeant Grossman, you had a sheriff in the back, what that means is some of your citizens might be less likely to come. And that is an important thing to think about as you're deciding. And obviously you have hard decisions in front of you in which to make to keep the town of Monroe safe, and that's a consideration. You represent all of your town. Obviously, we have our affiliations that make how we get elected and how you get elected, how we get into our positions, but even still, you serve everybody. And it's important to note that whatever the percentage is, that they have to be taken care of. Now, for statistics, I didn't come with numbers. But what I do know is that people in marginalized communities who are afraid of the police will not call them. And so say for instance, for domestic violence, if you have someone who's suffering in a domestic violence situation, but they're also maybe an immigrant, and we're saying legal, illegal, however we want to put it, they are less likely to call for help. That's just the facts of it. If they know that their town is coordinating with the sheriff's department, then they might not be safe. And so they would rather deal with the violence than necessarily call the police. And so when I ask, I understand the difficulty and the need in which to have policing there, but you have citizens in town of Monroe who are Hispanic, who are afraid. And so you also have to serve them as well. And so my ask is that. And I know it's a hard ask. I know that there's a lot of passion from everyone here, and I hope we can see through the passion that people have that this is something going on in America. This isn't just about law and order. This goes deeper than that. It's nuanced. There's so much to it and so much more that you can do as a part of it. So I appreciate your time and attention, and maybe have a little bit of Bill Clinton's Teflon image going for when you're listening to everyone's and their passions, because people feel deeply about this issue. As I said, I receive no benefit from doing this, and that's important to say that I would hope that you would reconsider the idea of partnering with the county sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Dan Burke, followed by Michael Sussman.
Here we go. Dan Burke, Town of Monroe, Village of Monroe. I want to apologize in advance, but this proposal is going to kind of force me to go to cliches. The first cliche is that there's due diligence missing. Here is the New York State Police response to an independent inquiry. And they say, the New York State Police value the partnership we share with the communities we serve. Residents of the town of Monroe who wish to provide feedback or file a complaint regarding police response times can contact the State Police Middletown Station at 845-344-5300. All calls are logged in, the order they are received. Incidents involving immediate threats to personal safety are given priority, and every call is addressed appropriately. At times, this can lead to longer response periods when multiple emergencies occur simultaneously. The New York State Police maintain regular communication with town supervisor and local officials to ensure continued coordination, transparency, and high-quality service for the residents of Monroe. That's what we have right now, and it doesn't cost us a dime. And the cliche number one, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The second cliche, town debt's in the millions. I know we've got a bill for $19 million that we got to pay off. Not the town, but the town taxpayers are going to have to pay for a sewer upgrade, and that might cost them $600 to $1,000 a year. The theater, we have financial responsibilities there, but no income, and we're losing money on the solar farm. So, let's see. Okay, the town would need new borrowing to pay off this contract. So cliche number two is when you find yourself in a financial hole, stop digging. And then the third cliche, we all know the power of inertia. This temporary $750,000 will be extended in May and on, requiring new borrowing into the Reading future. The first $250,000 for November and December are not even in the 2025 budget. So cliche number three is don't spend money you don't have. So table this proposal and add a discussion of policing in the towns outside the villages to the January agenda, where it could be done very carefully, and we will do the due diligence on it too. Thank you very much.
Michael Sussman, followed by Bruce Furbeck.
Michael Sussman is not here.
Okay. Bruce Furbeck, followed by Peter Toohey.
Good evening, Bruce Furbeck, Orchard Street, Monroe. I just heard Dan Burke give the Standard State Police Company line. I was here 2 weeks ago and I spoke how I worked for the State Police for 21 years. Been a resident of Monroe my entire life. I was the guy that told you 20 years ago to keep the state police, and I gave you the reasons why. I'm telling you today, either many people are uninformed or ignorant to it, that there are people across the unincorporated section of the town of Monroe that dial 911 for a serious emergency. We could be talking home invasions, we could be talking burglaries. And when they call, they expect a response. Either they're being told that the state police are unavailable, or 911 tries to find a contiguous police agency to respond to handle the call because the state police are tied up. Now, when you have an emergency and you're not afraid to call the police, which are most of us, you expect a response. Now, I think there's members on this board that understand what I'm saying, because what I call it is a crisis of safety. And we need to do something before somebody gets hurt or killed because of a lack of police response. And we need to do it timely. Now, you talk about the Orange County Sheriff's Office, you talk about the Village of Monroe Police, and you talk about the state police. 3 independent police agencies. They all are state-accredited police agencies. They go through a vigorous inspection every couple years. They're all law enforcement officers, and they have policies and procedures that they have to follow to get this state accreditation from a Democratic governor. Now, with that, the sheriff's office, the Village of Monroe Police, and the state police, they're law enforcement officers. They take an oath to protect the people of the community. That means they're impartial to certain things, and they're here to protect and to save our lives. If we have an emergency, I don't live in the village, so the village police use the state police as their secondary enforcement when they're unavailable. Every other town and village around us uses the state police as secondary enforcement. Well, guess what? Right now, the only enforcement we have is the state police. And when they can't come, we don't have anybody. So if we can get the sheriff's office here and make sure we have people here, and then if they're unavailable because they're handling something else, we have the state police as our backup to respond and to keep our people safe. And that's what the government here should be focused on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Peter Toohey, followed by Catherine Troiano.
Good evening, board members.
Evening.
I have a few things to say. With regard to the October 6th meeting, things over the last several years have gotten like I've never seen before in the last couple of years with the dialogue back and forth here in the town hall meetings. With the childish things, the immature things that are said, the insults, and I did, oddly enough, find something to feel good about, with everybody on different sides, and with this contentious behavior. You know what? We actually do have somewhat of a consensus among both sides. Everybody has spoken about, we definitely need police. State police are overworked. I think it's just like the fire department where they have mutual aid, as Mr. Furbeck said, and they kind of cover each other. But the thing is that right now, the consensus is that from last meeting to this meeting, that everybody agreed, both sides. We would like to do an IMA with possibly the Village of Monroe. And that's consensus. It's maybe I'm stretching, but I mean, that's what it is. The big issue is with ICE. But the thing is, I look at that as, you just stated tonight how you're still in the talks for the budget, and that, you still have things to work out. You got till November 18th or 20th or something. But the thing is that those talks are going on, and you're working, hopefully, with the village to try to work something out. And it's not easy. As someone said, oh, you just go do it. No, there's liability issues. Who's going to cover this? Who's paying for that? And the thing is that the sheriffs, if they have to come in, it's a temporary situation. It's a stopgap measure to get us where we are, to where we can have what everybody wants. A Village of Monroe Police Department taking care of our needs here in the town of Monroe, the unincorporated part of the town of Monroe. And it's just, we all have to turn down the rhetoric. It's just so crazy. And so I was happy that I found a little bit of consensus in what's going on. And with that, I respectfully wish you all good luck in your negotiations, and may it happen sooner than later.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Pete.
Catherine Troiano, followed by Eddie Blanco.
Kate Troiano, Village of Monroe. There are several extremely troubling aspects to this proposed IMA. First, was it even posted on the website? I was looking, I didn't find it. Maybe I wasn't careful enough. Second, it was signed on September 12th by the sheriff. How could it be signed even before the first public hearing? Third, it's for $750,000 for 6 months and 2 sheriff's cars. 2. And the way it's worded, 2 might be generous. $750,000 for 2 sheriff cars for 6 months. Are the officers getting $375,000 each? If not, where is all this money going? Fourth, our taxes went up 11% last year. How much will they go up with this disastrous IMA? As Dan Burke said, you don't spend money you don't have. Fifth, Orange County Sheriff's Office is contracted with ICE, which has become a domestic terrorist organization that throws people in the back of vans with no warrant. That's not an arrest, that's kidnapping. Make no mistake, there are people whose families have no idea where they are or even if they are still alive. Even if someone is undocumented, they are still human beings and still deserve human rights. I don't know about you, but I don't want Monroe turned into a police state. Sixth, this IMA seems to be a done deal in that the contract is already signed. Is that even legal? Are these public hearings just for show? Is the plan to have 2 public hearings and then go into an executive session and vote yes on this IMA, which is absolutely egregious financially and morally? Is this a stunt to get reelected? Is it a payoff to the sheriff's department? Because one thing I can tell you, this is not what is in the best interest of the town. Thank you.
Eddie Blanco.
Thank you, Kate.
Eddie is the last speaker.
Thank you. Evening.
So I did have like a little speech written up that I'm not going to stick to just because of what I've been hearing tonight. First and foremost, I do respect all of you, whatever problems I've been hearing I have up here, better than Netflix, let me tell you.
Please announce your name.
Huh?
Please announce your name.
Eddie Blanco, sorry. And I respect everybody else's opinion, but people have to also see what's really going on. What you hear and what you see are 2 different things. I remember October 6th, clearly, and not just because of what we talked about, but because I left here and went to go see a game that I can't even remember who played, because after I went to get cigarettes, the sheriff passing by the gas station, almost broke his neck to see me. Turned when he wasn't in the turning lane. I pulled my car into the gas station, grabbed my cigarettes. Who's coming around the corner? Slowly, on the light. I can see him staring at me. Why does that matter to me? Brought flashbacks back. I've had a crazy adolescent, I understand, and I've had running with cops, but I can respectfully say they've all did their job how they're supposed to. And I respect every single officer anywhere, because any local PD goes above and beyond. They see you, they don't know you, they at least say hi to you, to acknowledge you. I've never had a sheriff acknowledge me once in my life. Never. And the crazy thing is, I keep bringing back to the sheriffs is, I had a flashback that night, 2010. I was in the car with my friend, he was driving. Yeah, he had a messed up record. They pulled him out of the car. I was asked for my ID. I dropped my wallet, I swear on everything I love. The sound of hearing a gun unholster and the noise it makes being pointed in the back of your head, morbid. And I wish there are nobody's kids here. And let me tell you something, under the wrongful lighting, after a long day that, you gotta remember, sheriffs deal with criminals all day. They're transporting people back and forth, so that can get irritating. Under the wrongful lighting, anybody's kid can look Hispanic, can look like a threat. And that's the last thing you want to hear is your kids cry to you that had to go through something like that, because I didn't even have parents to cry to about that. That was the crazy part. Knowing my life could have ended, it's scary. That's why I don't want that here. I don't want that here because I don't want nobody else, whether the migrant community, which yes, everybody knows I'm standing for that heavily. Apparently everybody's seen the video of me going against ICE agents and FBI because they didn't have no warrant, they weren't looking for nobody. They were just poking around, making it look like they're looking for El Chapo in front of my business, ruining my clientele. But that's a whole separate thing. The fact that I got that flashback and I thought, holy crap, somebody else's kid can go through that, makes me think of how much due diligence are you really doing? You guys said you reached out to somebody. Who? Honestly, it's just a simple question, who? Because if somebody said no to you, I think it would be nice to just send out notifications to the whole village and be like, hey, listen, your rep said no, be ready because there's going to be sheriffs policing where your kids drive through to go to McDonald's on the weekend and hang out. Come through, come back from a movie and hang out. You know how kids are, loud music, acting rambunctious, feel above and beyond. You don't want them to have to deal with that one sheriff that dealt with two idiots they transported for whatever murder or something that they're already aggravated, and then they take it out on your kid. You guys got to see there's a bigger, more dangerous, scarier picture behind all of it. And I'm telling you from firsthand, that's not a great feeling at all. Not at all. And off of seeing that, I'm saying, if you don't believe me, look at the police cameras. I know there's cameras on that corner in Cumberland Farm. After 11 o'clock, you can see it. My truck pull in, the guys in the lane to go straight, automatically makes a left turn. Slowly. I come out, comes out, but this time I smiled. Because you know, at the end of the day, I got technology. They want to pull out the gun this time, I'm going to tell them to shoot it, go ahead. Because I did nothing wrong. If they want to make my family rich, go ahead, do it. But I'm not going to back down from nobody no more, especially when they're not doing the right thing. And I ask you guys, I really, really ask you guys,
1 minute.
do your best to try to get them to push. If they don't want to say yes, tell the public. You know how many people are going to be pissed off? How many people drive through the town of Monroe coming back from work late at night? You think they want to get harassed because they want to rush back to their sick child? The babysitter that wants to leave and they don't want to leave the kid alone because they're a single parent? You let the people know, I'm pretty sure they'll do the fighting for you need. They'll annoy the right people you need to get annoyed to push this process a lot quicker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all for public comment.
Supervisor, can I recommend you make a motion for a 5-minute recess?
Sure. Make a motion for a 5-minute recess before our comments. Second, call the question.
Am I?
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
Who seconded that?
Sal.
Sal. Any comments from the board?
Yes, where do we want to start?
Listen, I'll start because I got a couple of quick comments. Maria, May, oh, there you are, okay. I don't remember saying that Tuxedo hired the sheriffs. I know that it was state police because I was friendly with the chiefs back then. So maybe.
I said it. I
Oh,
said it.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's no problem. Nope. Okay. No, yeah, I didn't think that. Just so everyone's aware, I speak with SP at least once a week, whether it's via text, email, or phone. I had a text thread going today with one of the sergeants. So please don't believe the fact that I don't do anything. It's ludicrous. You know, people talk about our debt. We also have assets, and our assets almost doubled. Our assets currently are $38 million. I think when I came in office, they were like almost 20 million. So, you know, with debt also comes assets, and that's, yeah, you have to do the trade-off there. You know, okay, you got a little debt, but you got an asset. Just like when you buy a house, you have an asset in that home. Regarding Mr. Burke's comments about the solar farm losing money, I don't know if it's losing money. It is costing us money, but you got to remember, Mr. Burke, that was done under your reign on this board. That wasn't done under mine. You're the ones that signed the contract. Please don't shout. Please refrain.
Going out, please.
Please. I'm not
Everyone
insulting
was given
people. I
respect.
was-
Please
I was
give it to the
sta-
board.
I was stating a fact. Can you please have her removed, officer? Please?
I would request that we don't resort to the police actually removing an audience member, and just please request that the audience member
And we
not
did.
continue the
And we
behavior.
did.
Yes, but you didn't actually make a point of order and say that public conduct prohibits
Yes,
shouting.
I did at the beginning of the meeting.
And
If you
that
would
there
have
would be
listened,
police measures taken, and you didn't
What?
ask her to leave of her own volition prior to asking that the police remove her.
Okay.
Tony, you still have
So-
3 minutes and 31
yeah,
seconds.
so I will say that the only other issue is, everybody keeps talking about the sheriffs being contracted. Thank you, Officer Grasso, I appreciate that.
Sergeant.
Sergeant, I'm sorry, Sergeant, yes. That the sheriffs are contracted with ICE to do what? I haven't seen a contract, everybody talks about it. The only thing I'm aware of is that they're housing these inmates. And Rabbi Lerner stated that we reconsider something. Nothing's even considered, so there's nothing to reconsider. We're in the process of considering. So there's no reconsidering that needs to be done.
Why we have public hearings.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Um,
Oh, wait. One other point. Robbie, Furback, I know you stated when state police can't come, that the village doesn't come. I know the village has responded on multiple occasions when state police were unavailable, and I believe it happened last week once. So, and I know it's happened in the past, because I've been into town and they've showed up at Round Lake Park.
Rob, why don't you come up, because they can't hear you from the...
Yeah, I don't want to get in the back and forth.
What the public sees and maybe what you see isn't the general norm of business. You may see the village police back up, come to the town on a town call, and if they can, and if they're willing to, that's great. I've seen the town of Chester come, I've seen the town of Blooming Grove, all the other PDs, but I've also seen people wait over the last couple of years. And nobody should wait or not get a response.
Right, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but you stated that the village PD doesn't come.
Well, I didn't. If
I
that's
just
how
wanted
I
to
said it.
clarify
That
that.
wasn't the inference that I made. The village police do a fine job, and I'm a big fan of the Monroe Village Police. I want them as my town police force.
So do
But
we.
until then,
So do
I
we.
want something.
Okay,
So
thank
do
you.
we.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead,
So,
Councilwoman.
so last week, we had a very promising meeting with the Village of Monroe. Trustee Berenger was there. We met with the mayor, we met with the chief of police, we met with Trustee Berenger. I believe your labor attorney, and I think also your village attorney was there.
No, village attorney wasn't.
That's right. Tony was there, I was there via phone call, and Alex Melchiori was there. We had a very promising meeting, and discussions are heading in the right direction, so I want everyone to know that. But I also want everyone to understand that even if, and we have a meeting scheduled for next week, even if at next week's meeting, we manage to create an agreement between the two municipalities that we are able to agree wholeheartedly on, we cannot execute that agreement for quite some time. And the reason for that is this. In order for the Monroe Police Department to be successful at bringing services, expanding services into the town of Monroe, we will have to hire additional police officers. In order for us to do that, we have to do the whole interview process. We have to do the whole psych evaluation and the background check process. That takes a lot of time. Then we have to train them. Some of these officers will already be trained from other departments like NYPD, in which case they will need to go to a short 6 or 8 week training with the county, or we'll have to train them start to finish, which is a much lengthier process, okay? So even if we agree tomorrow, it's still going to take us months to get actual police officers from the Monroe Police Department patrolling the town of Monroe. Now, As far as the study goes, we looked into getting a study, Mr. Mendelson. Alex Melchiori reached out to several organizations and looked into getting a study, and we were all told the same thing. They cannot do, don't tell me no, I know what we did. I know that you want to say that we're lying. We are not lying. We cannot do a study because we have nothing to study. We have residents with no law enforcement, so there's no law enforcement to study. The Village of Monroe could do a study, and those are the ones who should do a study. They recently did a study. They have information from that. If they wanted to do another study, that would put us back a couple of weeks. The number one complaint that we get from residents, and this is a complaint that is increasing daily, is speeding. And that is not something that you can call the state troopers about and expect for them to react right away. You can't say somebody just sped down my road because it's going to take them some time. The New York State troopers are experiencing a significant decrease in manpower due to the fact that nobody's taking these exams. No one is taking the county exam. No one is taking the state exam. So we need to think outside the box. So in order for us to be able to provide for that protection on our roads, yes, we are talking to everyone who is capable of providing us services right now, which is why we're having discussions with the sheriff's office. We have not agreed to sign anything. We do have concerns over that portion of the contract where it states that we will be liable. That's a big part of the reason that we haven't signed anything. I have not made a motion in every other town board meeting. When the supervisor has to sign something, I'm the one who makes that motion. I have not made that motion yet. There is still so much that we need to study. There is still so much that we need to discuss, that I think we should keep this public hearing open. 1 minute.
So I want to add on to that. There are some records out there as to what the state troopers are doing in Monroe. There is actually, I want to thank the Photo News because they publish, the police calls. Through my diligence, I found out there's a nyspnews.com that has the blotter reports. It only pulls up 1 week at a time, and I pulled up one day. I just happened to pull up October 12th. There were only 3 calls for Monroe. I know we have county roads here. If the sheriff department can help us with just speeding on Lakes Road, West Monbassia,
Harriman Heights Road. Mm-hmm.
We don't need to pay for that. They should be doing that now.
It's the village, George.
He said Stage Road.
He said Stage
Talk to
Road.
VPD.
Right, but there are certain things that I think we just need to have a better dialogue with these agencies. They need to be protecting us. And I really understand what the residents are saying. If you are of color, whether you're a Latino or Indian, I had a girlfriend who was Indian, and she was always, people were coming up and speaking Spanish to her because they thought she was a Latino. If you are afraid of your color for domestic violence, to call and get help, oh my gosh, that's a terrible position. I never want anybody, a man or a woman, to be in that position where they are afraid to call and they're being abused by their spouse. So I think this board has more work to do. I definitely agree this should stay open, and I just think if the sheriff's department could do their county roads, let's start there. Let's get a little bit of extra coverage for the town. If speeding is the main concern, I think that's one way to put a foot in the right direction. And let's continue this dialogue. Let's continue the public hearing. And I'm glad to hear that things are going along more smoothly with the village, because I think that really is the best. They know the area, they know the residents. And I don't want, like I said, I don't want any resident ever be afraid to call for police help.
And you're right, Carol. The Monroe Police Department is a wonderful group with a lot of outreach. And the reason that we want to contract with them, but it will take some time. Up here.
I understand the issue about speeding. It's very important, and I understand what you're saying about the sheriff's office. You know, it's a county service, you know, so county policing to watch out for speeding. But then they cannot, I mean, can you, as the board that would, let's say, contract for just that issue of speeding on county roads, I know, it's probably unlikely, but anything that they could possibly hire to do, can you, as the authority that is contracting with them, say that they cannot, just as the village police do not ask for their documentation of status here?
We can't dictate that.
We can't dictate.
But similar to
that's
what...
the whole problem then.
Well, but similar to what any other law enforcement officer would do, if they come upon them, if they're driving, they're going to ask them for their driver's license.
Yeah, driver's license
Right.
is one thing,
Right.
but not for their immigration status. And
To-
that's
to
what
my-
ICE...
They're
separate.
To my knowledge, the sheriff's office isn't asking that. I know ICE is asking that, but to my knowledge, they're not. But I will be happy to investigate that.
That is
Seriously, I
critical.
will.
Okay, that is a critical
All right.
issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mary?
No, that's my comments.
Councilman
Thank you.
Scangarello?
I'm all for keeping this public hearing open as well. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of comments out there. There's a lot of, you know, positive and not so positive comments that
Into the mic, Sal, please.
we're definitely going to do what's best for this town, for sure. So I'm all for keeping it open.
Thank you. Councilwoman Richardson?
Yes, thank you. I can only speak on, you know, what I've been involved in and informed of, and, yeah, I want to answer a lot of points and thank everybody who was here and who remains here for coming down and voicing their opinion, and this is why we hold these public hearings. And as a board member, and as someone who's sat in the audience, knowing that things were basically a done deal, it's not ever a done deal, because all of you have come and spoke positive, negative, and every single person has a right to voice, you know, high-level policy issues, while somebody else may be frustrated that they just want police coverage. And it's our job as a town board member to hear, you know, literally every single one of your concerns and then make that deliberation. And there is no such thing as, you know, official contracts, official coverage until this resolution, this public hearing is finalized. And I mean, as somebody who has come in and completely changed, again, decisions that they were completely gung-ho on, this is why we invite every single person out in the town to come voice their opinion. I'll tell you what I was told was that this, you know, was the directive of the board majority, that the police consultant, which myself and Councilwoman Bingham have no memory of having a formal resolution to retain said consultant, and we have an issue with this because it doesn't feel to us that we had the ability to voice to the public that we would have chose an independent consultant probably 6 to 8 months ago. And we have concerns about procurement and open government, because the same way that you are all here voicing your opinion on the potential contract with the sheriffs, we could have voiced that, you know, a political opponent of the current town board doesn't exactly bode well for, you know, good faith negotiations for an IMA with our village police. You know, there were emails sent back and forth that were very thoughtful from the village that remain unanswered. There are things that I think our consultant lacks experience in, as much as he, you know, might be a dedicated officer and everything like that. He's, as far as I know, never consulted to build this kind of administration before. And I mean, I personally, in speaking with both state police who report, you know, that they were not directed to roads that our residents are complaining of speeding issues. They were not directed to ticket residents. And also speaking with the sheriffs who said, I look forward to working with you just today. You should be happy. We're so trained. We're so excited to be working with you, and we are coming to the town of Monroe. That's a conversation I had today with the sheriff's office. I know it's not legal until this public hearing closes, but we were told that this agreement was to happen, and then 6 months, 8 months down the line, there would be an attempt to, with a new village administration, negotiate a village IMA, and that is reality. And as we've heard people discuss, it takes time to hire and train police officers. So now it's been stated bipartisanly that it would take time to acquire and train officers, which are required to cover the additional, almost double the landmass that we'd be asking the village police to now cover. So our contract, this proposed contract, it's budgeted $750,000 for 6 months, ending in May.
1 minute.
And that is not good enough. If we intend in any way to contract with the sheriffs and intend to continue negotiating in any way with the village, that's just not enough time, even if everything goes your way and you're betting on political maneuvering. Again, the state police, the sergeant, that I spoke with, thanked me for allowing him the opportunity to defend himself. He did not show up, and I am disappointed that State PD did not take that opportunity, because I would have loved to had a dialogue with State PD here tonight. So I'm disappointed that we can't seem to get call data from the county. They haven't shared any of these call wait time numbers, and they're actually asking us to FOIL for information that the sheriff I spoke to today claims that she has and informed the 2 officers listed in our negotiated contract per B&C line. If I could just have 1 more second. She has that call data and used it to inform that decision. But this agency, there are ways to study call data. There are ways to study coverage needs, and none of the board members were actually included on that. And I like to point a finger at the fact that we didn't procure or attempt to procure an independent outside police consultant who could have actually advised us on this a year ago. So now we're doing this like a month before budget. Thanks.
I just have to defend Alex for just a moment.
Go ahead.
He is a 40-year police veteran, and he has been chief of police of the Monroe Police Department twice. He has been chief of police of the Tuxedo Park Police Department, and he has been chief of police of Blooming Grove Police Department twice. He is a well-decorated, very well-experienced, and very well-respected member of law enforcement all across Orange County.
Which I said. I said he is a respected member of law enforcement. That does not give you the innate ability to design and structure police forces, which is a literal profession that is held by non-police officers. So thank you for your service, not the same thing. And we could have had the ability to discuss his merit alongside other candidates for review, as we are technically usually required to do.
Let's move on. One other comment, Councilwoman Richardson, when he was here at the podium, you did state that you were looking forward to working with him. And we did not need a resolution?
He did, because he offered
No, we did not. Let me
help.
finish. Please don't interrupt me. We do not need a resolution because he's an advisor. He's not a paid consultant. And if you'd like to ask Mr. Nugent,
I did.
possibly
I
I'm
asked
wrong.
him 3 weeks ago and got no response.
We do not need a resolution. Can you please answer that?
I think
For
you asked-
free volunteer help that
you
someone
asked
wants
for
to come in and help us and inform our decision making, I'm sure that's not the same thing as having him actually steer and represent the town of Monroe.
Right, that would be, you asked about it, whether it was a board resolution, which there wasn't, because
No.
he's advisory, he's not being paid. Basically, anybody on this board could go find somebody to provide you free advice, and you can bring it back to the board. That's not, as long as it's not a paid position where you're giving a contract. That's my understanding of the situation, is that he's not someone being paid. He's basically someone just providing advice without charge to the town board members individually or
Yes,
collectively.
but then we speak about him as though he is conducting and like advising that these studies can't be conducted, and I'm saying this is not a professional level consulting service that's dedicated to fulfilling this for the town of Monroe. And
No,
we
it's
had
better.
Excuse me?
It's better.
Let's keep
It's not
let's keep
better.
it open. Let's keep
Yeah.
the public hearing.
Okay, I'll
I
make a motion to keep open the continuation of public hearing regarding the police services in the town of Monroe for November, what's the day, 4th?
6th.
6th, November 6th at 7 PM or immediately thereafter.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Next up is a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing regarding local law A-V1 2025 to amend Article 6, Chapter 53 concerning material used for water pipes in the town of Monroe.
We'll second.
Call the,
Go ahead,
call the
Mary.
question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Thank you.
No public comment.
No public comment. Brian, I know that you are still awaiting one item from the engineers, I believe.
And actually, during the break, Councilwoman Bingham and I spoke about this, and she had spoken to the engineer. So we think the document, even though it's not in final form with accepted changes, is pretty much final. So my recommendation was that we finalize the draft local law with changes accepted, and then we'll forward that to the board and to Mr. Fritz just to have a last look. I think you could put it on for November for adoption if there are no
We
major
close
issues.
the public hearing tonight.
I would continue it just in case there are changes that end up being material between now
Okay.
and then.
Okay.
And we'll close it at that meeting, and then we can adopt the same night.
Okay.
Then I
All
have
right.
one other question. The public notice, I believe, says only Chapter 53. We're also doing Chapter 54. Would we have to renotice it?
Could do that. Just let me look at that issue. But if we're actually making a change to Chapter 54 and the notice didn't include it, then I would suggest we just republish with the reference to Chapter 54 for the continuation. So this way, there's an opportunity if anyone
Right, so
you know,
you'll be in
feels like they
contact.
want to comment on 54 specifically.
So you'll be in contact with the town clerk, Val, at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing regarding local law A-V1 2025 to amend Article 6, Chapter 53 concerning material used for water pipes in the town of Monroe on November 6th at 7 PM or immediately thereafter.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 5.1 is the acceptance of the October 6 minutes. I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Any changes, alterations, corrections? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, item 6.1 is the general fund abstract. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe requests approval of abstract 25-18 general fund containing checks 37408 through 37467 totaling $605,667.11. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 6.2 is the escrow abstract. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe requests approval of abstract number 25-14 escrow fund containing checks 2252 through 2253 totaling $2,014.50. I'll make the motion. I need a second.
I'll
Bingham will
second.
second.
We're going to give it to Mary, even though Sal beat it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 7.1 is the acceptance of the resignation of Junie Jean, full-time bus driver, dial ride, effective October 7th, 2025. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe made a motion to accept the resignation of Junie Jean, full-time bus driver, dial ride, effective October 7th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 7.2 is the amendment to engineering professional services agreement for 2026. The amendment to the engineering professional service in 2026. We have the rates. I will make a motion to approve that with MHE with the caveat that it's approved by council.
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Aye.
So moved. Item 7.3, Tom Lawrence, attendance at the 2025 NISAC Conference on the Environment. I'll make a motion approving Tom Lawrence, Monroe Conservation Commission, to attend the 2025 NISAC Conference on the Environment on October 24th and 25th in Kingston, New York, at the following cost: conference registration, $109, hotel 2 nights, approximately $420. I know he said he didn't want to accept the mileage, but I think he has to accept that. That's quite a distance to go. So I'll make a motion that there's up to $100 in mileage. I don't see it
And
being more
are
than that.
meals included?
I think meals are included at the conference, but if not, he would be reimbursed as long as he has receipts.
Okay.
So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Call the question.
Second, I'm sorry.
I did. I'm taking that one
Thank
from
you.
Sal, too.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Ankarella, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, Reese Group investigation. This was a investigation that was approved by the board regarding Councilwoman Richardson's complaints. I will just read this statement. Nothing would preclude a brief summary with respect to the Reese Group report, as is the case may be. There were 11 number of complaints were filed involving town officials, and the Reese Group was hired to investigate those complaints. Out of the 11 complaints filed, 0 were determined to be founded, 10 were unfounded, and 1 was determined to be unsubstantiated. The town expended over $15K, and it looks like when the final billing come in, it'll be close to $20,000 to pay the Reese Group for the investigation of the complaints. To the extent that there are subsequent requests for the copies of the complaints and related documents, example FOIL, we recommend that our office, meaning Mr. Nugent's office, review the request and provide guidance on the response due to the sensitive nature of the information contained in the complaints.
Does that include the bogus charges at the Food Truck Festival last June?
Wow, okay.
No.
Excuse me? No.
We're not going back and
I'm
forth
not-
with the
you're not-
audience.
you can sit down.
Such an
Stop,
inappropriate
stop.
conduct
Stop. Please
by all
refrain.
members of the board.
Supervisor,
We
yeah,
have
I think we
never
answered-
had an HR
there.
investigation
Councilwoman
publicized,
Richardson.
negative or positive, with any
Please
details.
refrain
It's
from
extremely
speaking.
obvious.
You do not have the floor. Mr. Nugent?
I just recommend leave it at that. We don't need a motion. You've received the report, acknowledge your summary. That should be the end of it.
I was invoked and I'm allowed to disavow all of the statements. I was even told by the investigator that he was inquiring about what the cost totaling her services were, and that her services were rendered elsewhere and that they were general HR services. My attorney has actually departed because he had an hour to sit here. You've had multiple conversations with said attorney about how we were not given proper written notice to respond. It also deals with an ADA accommodation request. So this entire situation is ridiculous, and the actual wording of the complaint as finalized is that it's not predicated on discrimination for a disability, and it relies on
I ask the board
federal
members not to comment,
statute,
but you can
a
continue.
federal
Say that again,
statute.
I'm just
Counsel?
asking the board members not to comment. You can continue.
A
Yes.
federal statute that ignores perceived disability, as the entire argument is predicated on when a doctor's note was submitted. And the entire HR process in this town is flawed, and the 6-month delay plus an additional month's delay, I decided to prioritize my time and start working for the public and stop participating in a process that is inherently designed to benefit a corporation. And again, just disavow all of the statements that were made. We predicted that this would happen. It feels identical to retaliation, and that my attorney is still processing a response that is going to be given in mid-November. So this is just wholly inappropriate and indicative of the administration at large. We've never had another case like this. And also, 11 is nowhere near 165. But that's just from someone who managed our budget, so.
Next item up is the 8.1, short-term rental application for 94 Walton Terrace, SBL 18-4-50.2. Now, therefore be it resolved, the whereas clauses are incorporated.
We want to hear from him. He's coming up to the podium.
Oh, no, I'm just. Wanted to just
Okay,
introduce myself.
sorry, I didn't realize you were here.
I don't think you need it. It's a resolution of approval, so I
Yeah.
don't think you need,
No?
unless
We're
there's
good?
something changed.
Yeah,
Yeah, no?
if you want to comment afterwards, that's
No,
fine.
no,
Okay, all right. So now therefore.
You can go sit
You can
down.
stay there.
Yep.
Or you can sit down. Thank you. Keep smiling, though. You got a nice smile. The whereas clauses are incorporated herein as if set forth in full. Section 2, pursuant to the Town Code, Section 40-8, parentheses F, the Town Board hereby determines that, 1, adequate parking facilities are provided to meet the parking requirement of 4 off-street parking spaces, which are provided in a manner that does not impact the residential character of the neighborhood. 2, no new construction or expansion is proposed relating to short-term rental. 3, the structure and lot are conforming to the requirements of Chapter 40 of the Town Code, and the lot and structure are not considered existing non-conforming uses or buildings. 4, adjoining residences and their yards are generally afforded a reasonable degree of privacy from view by occupants of the proposed vacation residence or partial vacation residence by the imposition of landscaping and privacy fencing. And 5, the number of permitted short-term rentals surrounding the proposed property are not excessive in number as to result in adverse character impacts to principal residences in the neighborhood. I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, so.
Just with the conditions set forth in the resolution.
Yeah, I have to read section.
You don't have to read these at all. I was just going to discuss that before you make the motion. If it's been posted and the board has it and it's on, you don't need to read these resolutions. I know they're very long and very similar every time. The only time you really need to read a resolution is if it's not been made available to the other board members. But
Okay.
these are out there well in advance, so you can just say, we're making a motion to approve the short-term rental at whatever address.
So the town board hereby approves, I'll make this motion, the short-term rental application for 95 Walton Terrace, SBL 18-4-50.2, which is owned by the applicant Michael Dye, and that's D-Y.
Second.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Stancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. You could go home and go to bed. Thank you. Okay. Item 8.2 is the amendment to the Town of Monroe fee schedule regarding tree removal permit fees and mitigation fees. Discussion?
Yes, so we actually started a conversation, Mary and I, about the fees for the tree removal. The current fee is $750, and then the proposed fee in that law that we did spend a lot of time on was $1,250. In conversations that I've had with Dennis Fordham from the Conservation Commission, he and I have both said that $1,250 is quite a bit of money to ask somebody to pay for one unit, as it would be considered for the trees.
Unless it's a developer who kind of takes down a few extra trees along the way.
Well, but even then, I kind of feel like having a fee that is excessive is going to make it even more difficult to enforce. So I'm in favor of lowering that. Quite frankly, I think we should leave it at $750.
Per unit? It's a different structure.
Yes, but still, per unit, $750.
So that's still.
Per tree.
Yeah, it used to be
Per
per
tree.
tree.
Is it tree?
But there's tree units now.
Unit.
Right, so when you take down a very large tree, that's worth multiple units.
Yes. So
Right, and so Dennis and I have kind of gone back and forth over what the value should be, and we've both come to the agreement that $750 is more palatable than $1,250.
Per tree unit.
But this is a conversation for us to have. So,
I think it should be higher because, $750 to a developer is,
Right, do we
lot of
should-
money.
it-
Well, but keep
yeah.
in mind, it's per unit, so a large tree, a tree that's,
Like an oak that's
That's going to be multiple units.
We have the unit.
They're in the code somewhere towards the end, I believe.
Chapter 57.
Val, did you update E-code with that online? Okay, let me check.
And that's been, I want to say the last time I checked, that was updated.
Last time I checked, it was not.
And I'm a little annoyed at developers. There were some very large oak trees that I know that were taken down, and he sold the oaks for lumber, made more money than what he was fined, and this goes back years ago. So that's why, I can understand a poor homeowner who doesn't understand. We have a town code, and I think Dennis actually made a point, should we ever tell these tree companies out there,
I found it.
you got to stay within the new town code. But I'm just afraid a developer is going to go in and say, oh, I didn't know about those codes you have, and I cut down those trees because or a homeowner who wants a view of the lake. I've seen that happen too.
That's an argument my husband and I have all the time.
Yeah.
Take those trees down so that you have a better view, and I say no.
And you say no.
So we found the tree density units, and the DBH is that 3 to 12 inches is one density unit, 1 to 2 feet is 2, and over 2 feet is 3.
Right, so a tree that is up to 12 inches DBH is going to be valued at $750 according to the current fee schedule. Under the new one, it would be $1,250, and then for a larger tree between 1 foot and 2 foot DBH would be $1,500. I think keeping in line with that is more reasonable and better to be enforced than $1,250, because then you're talking about $2,500 per
unit,
larger tree.
Per unit.
Right, I'm worried about the enforcement of it, the likelihood that somebody's actually going to pay it.
If we're worried about the enforcement of tree units, why did we put tree units in the new?
Well, because we don't want a large tree to be taken down and then replaced with a smaller tree. We want to make sure that the size of the tree and the value that are provided to the ecosystem is maintained with multiple trees.
It's not maintained at all.
Well, and that's why we're having this conversation, so that we can enforce it.
I don't know.
Mike?
Consulted with Ben.
I'm going to, I'm going to agree with you, Councilwoman Hull, at $750, I think is.
Per unit,
Unit.
right.
Why don't you make that motion?
So I make a motion that the tree fee schedule be updated to reflect $750 per unit.
I'll second it.
Bingham, nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
I'm going to say Richardson, nay.
Okay.
Okay. So moved.
Then one other thing, there's, in that same section of the code, it says, no regulated tree, including exempt trees, shall be removed without first serving a notice to the town clerk by submission of a tree removal notice. Val, do you have any form like that? No? So maybe Councilwoman Hool, would you mind working on that with
Yes, so
Valerie?
we'll get with the planner. We'll get with MaxDAC and we'll have that notice created.
Right.
It's not a permit or anything that you would have to act on other than to have
File
it. Right.
Should it be Val, or is it now we have the building?
Well,
Oh,
in
it
the
says to
code,
the
it
town
says
clerk.
to the town clerk.
Yeah, that's the way the code reads, to the town clerk, so thank you.
Okay.
Close that up.
Thank you. All right, item 8.3 and 8.4, basically exemption requests from both the Village of Harriman and the Village of Monroe. Last year, we exempted them from item 4, which is brush and weeds. I have no issue doing that again this year.
Did anyone from your office, Brian, follow up to the matter that we were talking about regarding services? I'm guessing not. Sorry, so...
You mean about the landfill site?
Yeah, so I basically brought up as a matter to have in advance, because we were going through budgetary talks, that Village of Monroe was exempt last time from items 3 and 4, and then subsequently...
Only three,
Oh,
not
so
4.
3, and that
Oh,
subsequently...
they were exempt from 4.
Not 3.
Oh, 4, not 3, thank you.
The other
It's late. And then subsequently lost services for composting. And then there's been the debate over the fact that can you restrict, village access to town-owned land, because everything that I've read in municipal law allows a village to restrict town residents from village services, but that same concept, if it's town-owned land, is actually inherently accessible by village residents because it's just a principle
Oh,
of
yeah,
town law.
I actually, and thank you for explaining that. I did look at that after, I think Matt was here last time and relayed that. So, and I looked at the deed, and there's a difference here between access, in theory, if the village, resident was to walk into
Yes.
a public area, that's the access. But providing an operation, if the town is providing a service, that costs the town.
You have the right to charge them.
I'm sorry?
We have the right to charge them
And the right to grant that exemption or not. If the village says to the town, as they did in this case, hey, we want to be exempted from these charges, then they can't be exempted, then also say, we have a right to use the town services that are being provided on that parcel.
I think the issue is that we haven't identified the actual cost of that specific service as separate from the other services in that item that they want to be exempt from.
Here it is, it's in the budget.
It's in the budget.
Did we?
Yeah.
Which page?
On page 12 is the DA machinery, which is item 3, and below that is the brush and weeds, which is moved into
Brush and weeds
Or
on
did
page
they
12.
make the wrong request and they requested exemption from all of
They
those?
requested exemption from both.
Yeah.
And in discussions, we came to terms for last year's budget, we came to terms that
I remember
while
that.
it would be inappropriate to exempt them from the highway fees, it would be appropriate or permissible for us to exempt them from brush and weeds. But, and in conversations that I had with the mayor regarding this request, it would mean that they would not be able to use the compost facility. So he was aware of that.
So he's not
Excuse me.
happy about it.
Excuse
and
me.
he's questioned
Councilwoman
us.
Bingham? Go ahead.
I had a question. When you said the mayor, did you speak to both the village of Harriman and the village of Monroe?
It was only the village of Monroe who
I
made the
s-
request, not
I
the...
Because
spoke-
Harriman has the problem, they don't have a place to put some of their,
I spoke to Mayor Mitchell, and
Yes.
he understood that.
okay, as long as he understood it, because that was just my understanding, that
They
they
were
didn't
acting
have a
like they
place.
wanted access still and that they felt they had donated
To
equipment.
be clear, the town is not telling the villages you can't compost. The villages are asking the town for an exemption, and in response, the town is then saying, okay, we'll exempt you, but that means
You're
they,
exempt from the service and the cost because
they
of the
have to
service.
provide the service themselves, and they would do it at their cost.
So can they use the land to take care of their compost? Because that was the question in front of me from the Village of Monroe Mayor Dwyer, was we feel we purchased the land. You can't limit us from dumping our leaves on the land. They are now questioning, okay, you pay an employee to then process those leaves. Can't they use the land and then contract someone, just as
Have a village compost facility side by side with a town compost
And it
facility?
almost seems, if they're going to
I don't know.
contract and pay for those
Intermingled, my
services
understanding.
through
I
a
don't-
contract, it almost seems
It's
like they should...
intermingled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, then they should
Mingled.
just,
You
Yeah.
can't- it would be...
But not only that, if they're going to contract with somebody to take care of those leaves for the village
it should
on
be
town
us.
property, then not only that, then they should just not request the exemption from the service.
I don't know. And there's
Right?
zero additional in that item.
I don't know your Budget question, I couldn't.
There's zero additional costs wrapped up in that item, because I was under the impression they were asking for a larger highway service exemption and that this
They were.
accidentally falls under it. And
They
so-
were asking for everything, as they have done
So
every
can
year
they
for the last.
request
They don't-
everything except the composting fees?
They don't want to pay, and they still want to use the service. And I had this conversation with Mayor Dwyer 2 hours before the budget approval last year. And
I'm just
Mayor-
asking
I'm
going
not
forward.
done.
I'm just
And
asking.
Mayor
going forward.
Dwyer expressed, well, what does this mean to me? I said, it means you can't use the compost. And he's like, well, you know, I don't know, maybe we need to change that. And I said, Mayor, I'm an hour and a half away from approving a budget. I said, you're going to have to deal with it this year. If you want to rectify it next year, be more than happy to address it with you
Let's
next year.
rectify that.
And
They made the request.
They made the request.
And there's, as you said, this is an iterative budget process, and we can reach out
Okay.
to him.
The board is.
So we could table it till next meeting.
Yeah, and remind you, the board can deny the request entirely, in which case they'll be bringing their compost to the town.
Yeah.
and that's their only option.
Yes, but I would prefer reaching back out and saying, would you like to be exempted from the
And
totality
we can do both.
aside from the composting, if that is something we can do? Can we do that?
I think that's already been denied. You mean the other items they're requesting? That was already rejected by the town board.
3, we denied 3, which are the highway services.
Right, that was the
right?
discussion about the roadways,
Yep.
and their concept was, well, they're town highways, they're not in the village, and of course, the response was, yes, but your village residents clearly have to
Right.
drive on those town highways to get to and from the village.
So I
Like
think we
we're
should
not
table
exempt,
this.
just not, like we're not exempt from county charges
Right.
for county roads
Right.
that we may not drive on.
But we do drive
So-
on them, and they maintain those roads. And that's really what the village is saying, is that they actually contract with an independent municipal agency, their own highway department, their own maintenance that they pay to cut down, the weeds.
You're missing the point.
I'm not. I'm just
Well,
bringing up a different point.
The issue is that they also travel on your highways. There's no way to
Yeah,
get in and out of the
they
village.
travel on them, but if everyone paid, it's like those weird sub-districts where some people accidentally pay for 2 libraries. Everybody has to stick to a system. If every single town paid to only cut and maintain town roads, and every single village only paid to cut and maintain village roads, it would be cleaner, but it's because there's some that do and don't, then it's the driving doesn't make any sense.
That's the
Driving
very
on,
question. That's the question for the board. It's
Yes.
your option
Then
for
I
all
make a
exemptions.
motion that we table this discussion
Second.
until November 6th.
Second,
Right.
call the vote.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cool eye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay.
And that's for both, did I?
Yep,
I don't
both
know.
the
Yes, for
both.
villages,
Mhm.
the Village of Harriman and the Village of Monroe. Okay, item 8.5 is a road improvement petition for Seven Springs Road realignment. Council, do you want to just go over that, because we do have to have, I believe, a public hearing on this, or?
Yeah, so this is a little bit similar to water districts when we do an order calling for a public hearing. The only thing the board could do tonight is do a brief resolution to declare lead agency, but then there'll need to be an order setting a public hearing and other process. It's somewhat similar to water district establishment. And in this case, I understand that all costs would be, there
From
would
the
be no cost to
developer.
the town for this.
No cost,
And
yep.
there would be property conveyed to the town where this road's going to be shifted to remove a curve of some sort. So in any event, you would need to set a public hearing. So my recommendation would be tonight, you would just declare lead agency, and then at the next meeting, we can
At the
adopt
public
the
hearing.
order calling for the hearing, which will come at a meeting
Okay.
after that.
All right, so I will make a motion to declare lead agency in the Seven Springs Road realignment petition.
Cool second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cool eye.
Richardson, aye.
I did.
Okay. And next meeting, we'll schedule the public hearing.
Yeah, we're going to present an order calling for a
Right.
public hearing at the next meeting, and that will set a date in the future after that,
Okay.
which we can decide.
All right. Item 8.6 is the engineering agreement for Water District 14 improvements. There's discussion regarding an engineering agreement for professional service related to Water District 14 improvements. I will make the motion to approve that engineering agreement,
Subject to
subject to
Mr.
attorney review.
Thank you. I'll
Need to
second.
sign that?
What's that?
Do you need to sign that?
I should probably make that motion.
Yeah, got your,
So I make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign the engineering agreement for Water District 14 improvements,
Councilwoman Bingham, second.
subject to attorney review.
Question?
Bingham, aye. Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved.
Thanks, Val, for catching that.
Item 8, yeah, thank you, Val. Item 8.7, registrar appointment. I'll make a motion, be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Monroe makes a motion to appoint Barbara Singer as sub-registrar, the Mariano Rivero of registrars, with a term to expire 12/31/2025. 10/6/2025 meeting appointed her as deputy registrar. Call the question.
Aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Okay. Public comment.
Okay, once again, I'll read the first speaker, followed by who is proceeding. You'll have 3 minutes. Please come up to the mic, speak clearly, announce your name, and again, do not touch the mic. Thank you. First is B.J. Mendelson, followed by Dan Burke.
Well, there's a lot of places to start. Let's go with the easy one. Mr. Scancarello, have you ever apologized to Councilwoman Richardson for assaulting her at your food truck festival? Yes or no?
Mr. Mendelson,
No?
you know
Oh,
the
well.
rules for public hearing.
Oh,
This is not a
well.
back and forth. We will
I
not be
hear
answering
complaining.
your
What's
questions.
that? I thought you have to get the truth at the town board meeting, Dory. Isn't that what you tell us? Oh, come down to the town board, you'll get the truth. And then you say nothing.
Mr. Mendelson,
This
if
is
you
not
have...
Cardone, if you want to give us an honest answer.
Could you stop the time for a second? If you have items...
I sure do.
...to discuss pertaining to town business...
I sure do.
Please do so.
I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Would you like to interrupt me again?
Start it.
So let's try
And
it again.
just for clarification, there is no back and forth with the
Sure,
board
okay.
members.
I'm going to ask my yes or no questions anyway. So, Mrs. Scangarello, have you ever apologized to Councilwoman Richardson for assaulting her at your food truck festival? Mr. Scangarello, have you ever apologized to the Jewish community for your son's TikTok account where you threatened to murder at least 2 different Satmar men? No? Nothing? I got photos of that one. Mr. Cardone, thank you for proving my point this evening. You made a campaign speech disguised as a budget presentation, and then you went on for a mysterious budget item to attack your electoral opponent, proving once again that you're happy to spend town money to attack and promote your causes. Bravo. $750,000 for a sheriff's stunt, another $15,000 and $20,000 to attack Miss Richardson, who, by the way, is the first person that has ever run against you since you became supervisor. Now, I do have a question for Mr. Cardone. You signed an IMA with the town of Woodbury for their animal shelter. Ms. Luciani has been aware for at least 2 years of a sewage and drainage problem, and since Ms. Luciani has taken over as supervisor, there has been a parade of resignations from the animal shelter. Mr. Cardone, did you discuss your concerns with Catherine Luciani concerning the governance of the Woodbury Animal Shelter when you discussed the IMA? No answer in that one. You're just going to throw a fit, though. That's okay. Ms. Houle, let's talk about the proposed budget, because apparently I didn't do that enough. During the Jennings Creek fire, you were telling your friends on Facebook all of these updates about what was going on with the fire and what was going on with the mini fires along the Monroe-Tuxedo border. You failed repeatedly, just like you failed to let people know about the potential poisoning of Lake Mombasa from those oil spills. You failed to inform town residents of the potential danger of the Jennings Creek fire. Since I apparently didn't talk enough about the budget with you, how about when we get to talking about the budget, you talk about how we can go about protecting our citizens with an emergency plan, or a reverse 911, or any other mechanism that can inform the town residents just as well as you informed your friends on Facebook during an actual emergency. The 3 of you suck. I gotta go. Peace out, losers. Sal, will see you soon.
Dan Burke, followed by Carmen Timmons.
Yeah. Road, Town of Monroe, Village of Monroe. I want to thank Valerie and Barbara Singer. I foiled to get the numbers on the theater, and here they are. So they took in $527,000 this year so far, right through September, that's substantial, very nice. It doesn't have the expenses, so you really can't see, what's going on there. But I keep discussing the theater because we do own it. It's an asset. It's something that we should try to make the most of, even if we disagree on whether we should have bought it in the first place. We bought it for $880,000 at an auction. And then we spent another $500,000 for the elevator, redoing the floor, the digital cameras, and we got it up and running. And what had been like a blank because of Irene, in the middle of the village, it became a living thing where people went and watched the movies. And, going forward, what we have now, we have those 5 events. And this board has put on events. I mean, the food trucks, even the cheese festival. When I'm talking about 5 events, there should be major things that people look forward to. Oh, next year, are you going to the International Film Festival? Oh, it was great last year. That's the level I'm thinking of. How about Monroe's Got Talent? See if you get people who come in and sing or whatever. It's got to be gigantic. Bring people there, and then there'll be a hangover from it. People will be used to the building. They'll be in there. They'll come back for movies. And at some point, there'll be enough of money coming in for the town to get some money out of it. Instead of, we're losing $29,000. Just, Mr. Cardone, let me just say this. When I had the theater in 2018, we were in the black. We were close to, for that year, up to $60,000. Now you have the theater. We're in the red. And you're losing about $29,000. But we shouldn't argue about crap like that, But I just wanted to make that point. And thank you for listening. And I hope the next sound you hear is a lullaby.
Armin Timmons, followed by Carol Hawkshurst. Carol Hawkshurst. Carol is the last speaker.
Last but not least, good evening. Carol?
Don't touch the mic.
Touch the mic.
Oh, I forgot. Okay.
It's that voice.
Voice of God.
Yes.
Except for
That's
Rabbi
like
Lerner.
the wizard. So I just wanted to point out that, I've been attending town board meetings for a number of years. I've also been watching the pre-recorded board meetings because as late as these meetings go, sometimes I just can't stay up. I don't know how you guys do it. But I know I've been before the board before, letting you all know I'm a lifelong resident of Monroe. And as I've mentioned times before, many generations of my family have been in this area, which, as you can imagine, I care a lot about our town. The purchase of the Rye Hill corridor was $19 million, correct? And that protected how many acres, Tony? 265.
Yes.
140.
200.
19.5 million.
Carl, call me tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll show you that.
Yeah, so the question that was it worth it to our town to purchase this?
Yes.
Obviously, yes. I think everybody here would say yes. I think someone who spoke earlier tonight said we paid $29 million. He seems to say a lot of things that are untrue, incorrect, and defamatory and vile. Honestly, part of the reason why I don't like coming to the board meetings is certain people that come up here and are so aggressive and attacking our board. I don't think there's any reason for that. There's a way of getting a point across in a respectful way, and I appreciate that you started the meeting stating that. I just also want to say that the same person, I just need to say it, said I went to a meeting with you about bus issues or bus safety. I was not at that meeting. Another neighbor of mine was there. He just puts things out there just to create controversy and saying that there was a yeshiva that was being put. Why does he have an interest on Hawkshurst Road? I don't know. I don't know what the connection is, but it's upsetting as a longtime resident, and I really hope that stops. and I hope it stops for you guys as well, because it's vile. Thank you.
That's all for public comment.
Oh, Debbie.
Hold on.
One more.
Debbie would like to come up. Hi, Debbie Barringer, Village of Monroe. I just wanted to say, I know it's very hard to be on a board and have people being very rude. I've dealt with it for a lot of years, and I am appalled at some of the behavior that I saw tonight. And it's not fun to be attacked, whether it's at a meeting, in a newspaper that people write. And I'm just really upset as a person, as a human being, as a Monroe resident for over 50 years, that this is what it's come to. And some of those people that have done that have now left. And I'll probably be attacked because of it, but my heart is seriously broken. People attacking people's families and people's children. My heart is broken, and I really apologize to all of you. I know what it's like, but we have families. We need to lay our heads at night, and some people here, I don't think they really have a heart. Now, on a positive note, the movie theater, I was really not happy with it years ago. I do love the movie theater. If people don't know, there's always an amazing Black Friday deal where you spend, I don't know, I want to say maybe $100. You get a movie bucket, you get extra tickets. I always do it for my kids. There is a lot going on around here in Monroe besides food truck festivals and cheese festivals, and we do work together nicely. And I think maybe people, instead of complaining that what's not happening at the movie theater, maybe that should be a post. Maybe we go back to those days of, hey, I supported a local business. Take a picture of yourself at the movie theater, or take a picture of yourself at the local, pizzeria or something around here where we have a little bit more unity. I know you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's really hard to see what's happening here. I've lived it too, and, I just hope people will just think that we all have a heart and a soul. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, I want to say a couple of things. Carol, when you came up, you kind of jogged my memory with the master plan. So I'm just going to ask the supervisor to again look at the budget to see if we have adequate money for a master plan, because that comprehensive plan is going to have to be redone. We know the demographics of Monroe are changing. And Dan Burke, thank you for coming up, because you reminded me about the solar farm. And to the supervisor, back in January, we had Melissa Zott. We had a couple of emails. Their firm does do some kind of consultation, you want to call it, or review for the solar farm. So again, if you could maybe look into that for the budget. I don't know how much that would cost, but if you want that email, I'm sure I could dig it up again. And finally, Water District 12. I pulled up the resolution, which goes back for about a year, and it says we were going to let Blooming Grove use it. Now, as this board knows, we never surplused it, we never sold it, we never... The tank, yeah. So I would just like the supervisor to once again reach out to Blooming Grove. If they want to keep it, then we have to decide on a fair price, and we need to surplus it. Because right now, as I said, the resolution just said to use it. So thank you for everybody for coming up. You were all very professional. I appreciate that. Debbie, thank you. We are trying to be human, and sometimes I know emotions get hard, and people have to show respect. That's how we're going to move along. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sal.
Debbie,
And turn it off. Oh, there you go. All right.
Debbie,
Thank
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, what you said, it hits here too as well. It wasn't always like this here. It really wasn't. This was a great board. It was a productive board. We did a lot together as a unit, Mary included. And, it's gotten, Maureen has put an anchor in all of us, and she's changed the way this entire system works up here. It's changed everything. Just for example, that food truck festival that I attended in June and she was there, she barged into that food truck festival with a purpose. And the next thing you know,
volunteer.
can I speak?
You're invoking me, and this is against
And
board
I am not.
law.
And you invoke all of us.
I literally
Please,
do not.
Let me continue.
Please,
You're-
let him continue.
blaming
The
me
next
for the
thing I know,
conduct
I'm
of a
getting a
speaker.
police report that I assaulted someone,
No, you didn't.
which, yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
And then 2 days later, I have to go to court for something I never did. It's just, I mean, we're supposed to work together as a team. This is not a team up here. It's politically divided by the one on the end there. No one else.
Yeah.
Because we've worked with Democrats before and we've never had a problem. All of a sudden, the trouble comes from the person on the end. All right? That case got thrown out of court by a Democratic judge in 2 seconds.
Oh, it
Because there
didn't.
was no evidence. And that's it. That's
No.
all I have to say.
Councilwoman Hull?
Yeah, so I want to address B.J. Mendelson's comments about my lack of warning people about the dangers of the Jennings Creek fire. As far as the 911 alerting system, the town of Monroe, sorry, Debbie, I have village on my brain. The town of Monroe has Monroe Connect. Much like any other red alert service, those services you have to sign up for. So we have Constant Contact that you have to sign up for. We have the Monroe Connect that you have to sign up for, and there are plenty of opportunities for people to learn about what's happening and for notices to go out. With that Jennings Creek fire, when the Lakeside Firehouse was the staging center for a portion of that fire that was impacting the town of Monroe, I, along with other elected officials over the course of that time, went over to Lakeside Firehouse and I talked with the fire department and I said, what do people need to know? Tell me what people need to know and we will get it out. Now, yes, I posted on Facebook about the Jennings Creek fire, and I posted about helping serve breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was proud to do that. No, I did not post by myself on my own page the details of what residents should and shouldn't do, because what I did was I contacted the confidential secretary to the supervisor and Val, and I said, can you please get this information out through our resources, letting people know, please do not park your car on top of dry leaves. Please do not light any fires or drop any cigarettes. Please be careful about what you're doing. I didn't need the credit for that. I passed on the information so that the residents would be able to have that information. So, yet once again, and if Mr. Mendelson was sitting over there, I would say the same thing.
1 minute.
Yet once again, Mr. Mendelson is filling everyone's heads with lies, and quite frankly, I am tired of it.
All right,
Councilwoman
I would like to
Richardson?
address actual town business instead of the continued obsession with an online blogger and pretending that
Not
an
online anymore.
You are now interrupting me. You're now interrupting me. You're literally saying that 1 or 2 people direct your entire course of action as a board that claims 2 terms of experience and that you weather any storm. Let's quote that. Let's move on. And I agree that the comments made here tonight were inappropriate in nature and that you have the entire purview of the rules of conduct to prevent that. And you don't. You say nothing and you sit there and you make everybody in the room endure the comments, and you don't have to. It's literally outlined in the same rules that I invoked against speakers who I felt were not focused on town business. They're very specific public comment decorum rules, and this should be an environment where everybody feels safe to voice issue-based criticisms. The amount of times that the scapegoating and the misdirection has encompassed all, like hours and hours and hours of town time instead of working on congressional applications, instead of formalizing Water District 14, instead of discussing publicly town business, you've discussed personality politics. And alongside countless residents are just tired of the lies that you guys are telling, which are not the same magnitude. Don't misunderstand. That behavior, I don't want to see it either, but the actual just gaslighting that this town board has engaged in, and the aggression, and the exclusionary tactics, and the discrimination tactics, and the harassment and the bullying. I mean, the amount of residents' complaints that I get, that it's an unpleasant experience to contact the town board with any problems because they feel that they are immediately retaliated against. The amount of just concerned residents looking for information shut out by a board that prioritizes essentially a totally different approach to government than what's outlined in the Town of Monroe Municipal Code and Policy of being open, transparent leaders that are supposed to publish information in advance, that are supposed to be thoughtfully planning, that are supposed to include all representatives. We all know what is going on, and it's not your private friend group. This is a government, and you sound like the eldest child of a family that had a new baby. You need to get over it. People elected who they elected, and you didn't treat Mary with the respect that she has earned for over 2 terms, and she's voiced that, and I have voiced that, and we've been disappointed in the partisan politics and had to fight against it tooth and nail just to represent people, and it should be put aside.
I don't know if you were at the same meeting tonight, but I think you're totally incorrect in your statement. As far as Water District 14, we worked on that for probably 6 years to try to get it
We
passed.
submitted a
I'm
congressional
speaking.
application
I'm
before we
speaking.
incorporated it.
Can you please stop interrupting?
As soon as you do, Tony. Respect should go both ways.
We dealt with that since 2019, and we got it done. Dory, myself, and Mary got it done. You had nothing to do with it, so don't make a comment that we did nothing about it.
I had nothing to do with it. I only called the governor's office and had to point out to you that you should simultaneously walk the bills, unlike the year prior where you literally had it
to be part of our
delayed.
team,
didn't.
and I remember you saying to us.
Dory, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do, because you can't.
Motion to end
I'll
the
make a
meeting.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.